Hello, and welcome to Jason Cavness Experience. I'm your host, Jason Cavness. Our guest today is Raj Mawad. Raj, you ready to be great today?
I am.
Raj is the CEO and founder of, how do you say it? It's
Thrv Health.
Thrv Health,
Without that, without bells.
a venture-backed company developing a business in a box for wellness providers to optimize the business revenue through tech and personality matches, leading to a 2.7 a direct-to-consumer health and wellness company. Raj, thanks for being here today. I really appreciate it.
I'm excited, brother.
So first thing, you're a mentor in Founders Institute, correct?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing that?
Oh, going on a year and a half, maybe the second year now. So it's been a lot of fun. I met Jeremy here in Seattle, and I met Levi here, and going on 2 years working. I'm from Texas. I was actually lucky enough to work with the Levant Group. The Levant Group is actually back home because we're from the Middle East. So it's actually a charter and a chapter in Lebanon, Iran, and Iraq. And I think that's probably been the coolest thing that I've been able to do with the Founders Institute, which is help people back home and see how we can help, across borders, to be honest.
So first, cheers.
Yeah, cheers, brother. There you go.
So I'm gonna have you walk me through some real fast, right? So I'm part of Founders Institute too. We started, I think, last Wednesday, been with it for a week. And so we have a meeting tomorrow. So from the 15th to 22nd, we got to do customer interviews. So I was gonna have you walk us through, like, how would you do customer interviews? What would be your advice to like a brand new founder of Founders Institute? They have an idea. How do you go about getting customers? Like me, I know my customer base, so to speak, right? What would you advise? Like what type of questions? 5 questions, 10 questions, timeless, anything you can think of.
Absolutely. And that's a great point. Our customer discovery was an ordeal. And I don't know how the Institute does it, but it's probably like, hey, get your 50 calls in, 10, 15, 20 calls. So for us, we actually ended up doing about 97 of these discovery calls. I thought to myself, I got to find my persona, my niche, and my beachhead market. If you're not 100% what sure that is right then and there, I wouldn't go directly into customer discovery yet. Really start thinking of the persona of that person you're going to really help. And not with that pain pill or with that vitamin, but with a real pain pill.
So you're saying if someone's out there says, my customers, everyone, they need to like go back to the drawing board, right?
I hate to be that person. Yeah. Because that's messaging is hard to talk to a mom, a daughter, a brother, a sister, an octogenarian, a 20-year-old, a high schooler, a PhD. So if you can really, if your litmus test is everybody can use this, take a pause, really take a pause, or else you're just going to kind of start running in circles. So we really got to what does, and then you have to think, honestly, Jay, like whatever that persona is, what does success look like to that person? Success to you, hey, X amount of views. Awesome. Success to me could be X amount of dollars. So it's really important to understand your persona, the problem that you're trying to fix before you interview them. What does success look like to them? Because then that's one of the biggest questions we had is kind of, we have these open-ended questions as to what does success look like to this specific person? Again, it could be a peak performance athlete, or it could be a middle manager over at Amazon. And as a PM with some features coming out, it's a very different success of this was deployed instead of, hey, we got X amount of points in the game. So it's really important to know what success looks like. For us, what we ended up doing is ours was actually pretty simple. It's a direct to consumer health and wellness. And we thought to ourselves, where do most people go for questions about their health and wellness? And if it's a corrective exercise, which we really trying to focus on, obviously the first thing was YouTube. So we started looking at some of those keywords and the key questions for health and wellness on YouTube from our persona. And we used about 4 or 5 of those questions in our customer discovery. What I found was the best thing is I was projecting a lot of my thought process. So I've been in the industry for quite some time when it comes to health and wellness. I said, it's probably convenience and finances that take. So what we did is after we took about 15 minutes, and I'd implore everybody to try this. Mars View AI is like a transcription recording service. So imagine, Jason, you want to do your 15-minute calls with some of your customer discovery. It's great. We ended up recording every single one of those conversations. So we had 97 conversations.
Do you have to get permission from people to do that?
100%. Okay. Absolutely. Let everybody know that they're recording them.
Did anyone ever say, no, don't record it?
Actually, one person did. We still obviously did the interview and tried to understand. And it was nothing other than they were in a position where they just didn't want to have their name out. So we recorded it. And then Mars View has that transcription. It's almost like, I think it's 8,000 minutes for free. So you guys don't even have to pay for it. And what we did is we went in and we basically, through SQL and Python, we ran a word cloud. So we took all those transcriptions and just popped them up into a word cloud. And the top friction points were so far off my radar of understanding. And that's when we really started understanding healthy habits and health and wellness isn't about money or actual convenience. It's really about belonging. We've realized, hey, Jason, there's somebody waiting on you. There's somebody empowering you. There's a community here for you, the Pelotons, the CrossFits and whatnot. So it ended up being a relationship quotient. And that's kind of how Thrv was born. It's almost like the Myers-Briggs for your personal trainer.
Okay.
So do you want that drill sergeant Doug, or do you want your empathetic Eric? And, it really panned out through those customer discoveries that we had to do. It's important to, it's tough. I had my mentor, Sean, he almost did I almost tried to go lockstep, or whatever he did, I tried to do better. So he's like, all right, 60, blank customer calls. Like, cool, I got to beat Sean. And that's how I knew that due diligence, we were kind of nearing where we wanted to.
And I'm guessing you'd recommend, if you had to reach out, like for us, we got to talk to 9 people. You would say, find 9 people you don't know, right? Versus 9 people and even like you talk to 9 people you don't know. Human nature is kind of be nice, how do you read through the niceness, and get the real answers,
You don't. I'll be really up. You might not even know, and they're giving you that bias. Unless you have, some people that you don't like. The joke is my wife is a great red team because she hates everything that I do. So like, what do you think about this? She's like, so yeah, I would, we even call them third network. So not even your first friend or a friend of a friend. Do you know anybody who knows anybody? So we do that third network effect. And that's when you get some of that raw stuff of like, so what is this experience again? And then you start getting to the real questions like, all right, so not just the 5-year-old doesn't understand it, but the third network person doesn't understand it.
Is there anything out there that says, you should ask 10 questions, 5 questions, or just mix it up to the founder to say, this is what I need to learn to gain something from this?
I'll be really honest. I think if they'll gloss over after 5. We try to keep it to 3 to 4 to be really honest and have more of a dialogue. And the dialogue, we're just under threads of 3 or 4. And there's some pretty bespoke ones to what you want to do and where you are in the stage of the startup. But realistically, it's the 3 or 4 that pretty generic of, what do you do now for this situation type thing? And where do you go to? And then you get more of the user story before overcoming up on 7 and 8 and 9. They're like,
yeah, I know whenever I get a survey, when I get to question 10, I stop. That's my cutoff. I don't care who it is. And that's a really good friend that asked me to do it, but that's some random survey. I'll do 9 questions. 10, I'm done. I'll email, hey, I can't deal with this. This is too much.
And then you almost have to preemptively mentally prepare them. Hey, can you answer this quick 9 questions? So then you're mentally like, all right, on this 9th one, I'm done. I can get to 9. But if it's like, all right, here's some question here on number 9. Like, well, this is going to go to 27. Send button.
And plus too, would you rather answer 9 questions like this, pick A, B, C, and D, or 5 questions, but you got to do a paragraph, typing a paragraph for which one, right?
Exactly. If you get a little bit more detail and hear their voice, their story, it's a little bit more, it's a higher efficacy. And that's why I just like talking and then having the transcription do it.
So I'll use myself as an example, right? I'm doing the interviews. Yeah, so my company, Kevin HR, we're going to do HR for companies 49 or fewer people. So should I reach out to only small business owners with 49 or fewer people, or anyone who works in a company of 49 people?
Interesting. HR specific to what?
Employee handbooks, HR policies, job descriptions, onboarding, sponsor advice.
That's interesting. So what I would do is, I'm right there with you. You have your target market sizing. I think also then what I would do and what we did is we looked at some antiquated industries where we know these things aren't in place. And somehow there's a high churn, a high turnover because the internal processes weren't good. I think you can quickly start getting a little bit more detailed in your beach and niche head market of exactly what you're trying to solve and those pain points. Because a 49 person company or under 50 might have a great infrastructure already. And then until you start seeing, okay, well, this is more of a, hey, it's 50 people in this company, but 40 of them are 1099s, kind of like independents. There's no seamless transition at that point. So they probably need a little bit more internal processes. So I'd even start learning more about the industries and how they operate before even start getting that list down. And you need to get how many all in? About 9 or 10?
Yeah, we got to do nine in 1 week. Yeah.
What were some of the examples that you were thinking of?
Just I have a pretty good network, So what I did already, I sent a message on Twitter, hey, this is going on, here's my calendar link. The same thing with LinkedIn. Yep. Plus I'm reach out to people in the podcast, and ask them not to interview them specifically, but can they refer someone else,
Totally.
Yeah. So we're going like that.
So that worked out. And so how we did it, then what we found was there was like a Slack group. And this Slack group was a Seattle specific, the FANG computer engineers. So as your Facebook, Apple's, Netflix's and the Googles. And I kind of just threw a grenade in there and I said, who or back hurts by the end of the day? And you can imagine my end user is the person who's kind of hunched over all day long. And it was a 230,000 person Slack group. And so we had almost, 1,200 people be like, yeah, I have some questions and here's how I do this, this, and this. So we were lucky enough to find a really good watering hole before we started trying to talk to people. So we found them all in one real good spot.
Is there a difference in doing interviews like, over the phone, in person, Zoom? Do you find like they're better in person or what do you think?
100%. And this is just me as philosophically, when everything happened in our brick and mortar direct to consumer wellness, we didn't go virtual. I truly feel there's a dynamic that's missed in this interpersonal connection. We might go from macro communities to micro, so a little bit smaller pockets. I don't think we're going to go completely virtual. So if you can, even if it's just not a call, but you can see their mannerisms, their face, the emotions, the lean in factor, that's a delta. Because then that's when you hit that problem point, like, hey, Jay, if you could solve this for me, instead of this, hey, if you could solve this for me. So you can kind of get their mannerisms. And, again, that's a testament to everything in the virtual world. Everything going with Peloton and stuff like that. I don't think people are going to be replaced by virtual.
Yeah.
I'm
a big fan of remote, but like there's nothing like in person. Like you was actually in the podcast like a month ago, but something you got sick, I think.
Yep.
And so you should go to virtual now, man. Let's do it in person. Because in person just so much better, right?
It is, man. And I got to see the tattoo. We got to, we got to drive vibe on that. And then we connect.
Yep.
And then the relationship and then the dialogue completely changes. Instead of just like,
like I learned from Texas. I learned from Fair, Texas. We both know Ricardo Perez.
That's crazy, man.
It's like
I saw that. I have the same tattoo and stuff. Like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's crazy. So let's suppose suppose I do my 9 interviews. Anyone that found this Institute Seattle does the 9 interviews. What information should they track? Should they track like who they talk to, the answers? Because one thing I messed up on a couple years, I did this a couple years ago, right? I talked to a lot of people. What I messed up on, all I did was I just tracked like there's more detail in this, but I tracked basically like where they pay for Kevin's HR is affordable and all this kind of stuff. I didn't track, what the problems were. I didn't track who they were, the emails. I just like 80% said yes, and I would do that, right?
Yeah.
So how in depth? I'm guessing it needs to be pretty in depth in detail. But what metrics should we all be tracking to use this? Because I kick myself every day, man. If I only go back to those people again, right? But I have no idea who I talk to.
Oof. Yeah, that's hard. I mean, at least the contact person themselves. More importantly, I think what it was for us was the metrics that matter. So if we have, your weekly metrics that you want to, I'm not sure how the Founder Institute's doing now, but if it's, hey, these are your weekly metrics that you got to follow up on, those metrics that matter need to be consistent throughout the entire time. So over the 10 weeks it takes you to get those 9 or 10 interviews, they should be the same KPIs and the same metrics that you're going to follow. So what's the size of the company? What industry are they in? What's their major point? And then if there was a pricing and whatnot. So all the questions you asked, but then a little bit more, background and artillery on actually the independent party that they work with, because then you can find the friction points in the industries. And what I found really, really interesting, especially in startups, is the pivot factor comes a lot because it's interdisciplinary in industry. Jason, business is business to me. It really, really is. A marketplace SaaS solution for health and wellness, but I could iterate and put that exact same thing on the prop tech side or fintech side. So once you have something that works, cross industry agnostic problems usually arise all the time. I can imagine that HR is a personnel problem, and they can hit any business, from hospitals to Google's to anything like that. So you have a really robust problem that can be pretty similar to a lot of different industries. So keeping up with that specificity would really helpful.
So Arch, any more advice on this before we move on?
Oh man, those customer discoveries, I'd be honest, really lean into them. They're important. They're really important. I don't think people put enough weighting on the customer discovery, because then you'd find your real persona. You find the real person who's going to open up their wallet.
And you might have a problem you never thought about, right? And you got to do a quick pivot.
Exactly. And actually, most people finalize when they have these customer questions, like, wow, the same problem that I was thinking about, that's how we were, is totally different from what they're saying. So I think it's really important to get as many as you can under your belt and listen, really, really listen. Don't project what you think.
Hey, so on the LinkedIn Live, someone named Julianne Cade said, yes, great to catch you live. And I know this one, Marcus, he's my frat brother. He's on this. We got 2 people on there, but it says 8 people watching. So sometimes people put questions in here.
No worries. What frat were you in?
Phi Beta Sigma. So
because
I'm burning the fuck up just watching the biggest footer on here. So next, let's talk about the current startup scene. What's going on, right? So go back in the day, Enron, Cricket Company, the signs are out there, Wells Fargo, like 5-6 years ago, they would make like fake accounts, recently they made all this like some kind of diversity stuff they got caught doing. So it's like companies are doing bad things consistently doing right. And so we're talking now like all these companies like laying people off. Coinbase is like, now they give Coinbase some credit. Suppose they're giving people like too much pay if they didn't bring them on, which is a good thing. But Coinbase, people not gonna remember this. Like, remember the Super Bowl ad they had?
I don't even remember.
So it's like the QR code going across the screen.
Oh, and I heard they crushed it with that one.
Yes,
I heard they crushed because everyone was like, "All right, fuck it, let's try it." Like they didn't know. Sorry,
they did it. Yeah, you can cuss.
Okay.
They did it, but after that, the CEO said they did it on their own. They could not find an agency to help them out. This ad agency from New York City, the female CEO came on blind and said, "No, motherfucker, this is all the stuff we did for you, right? So you lied about it, right? And now this is like, and then you have like,
why? Like what the?
And then you had like the former work CEO, I can't remember his name, Adam something. So he was an interview like a month ago. He's raising money for another startup, and they're giving him money, right? And then
he raised $600 million.
He's out there. They're giving more money for something else. And then you have Zenefits, their CEO Parker Conrad.
I missed that one. What'd he do? Probably another thing.
He like did some legal stuff. He basically was selling insurance without broker's licenses, and supposedly it's like a bro culture, taking shots every day. Supposedly had a rule, and everyone can Google this yourself. Zenefits went on the Zenefits. Supposedly had a policy, no sex in the stairways, this crazy stuff, right? Yeah. So he got kicked out of Zenefits. He started another HR company called Rippling, and he raised like just about the same.
I'm sure.
And then that remember that dude from can't remember his name. He fired like 200 people on Zoom.
Yeah.
He did that. The board kicked him off. Suppose the board brought him back on. Yeah. Like there's all these bad actors out there. Like, do you have any morals, integrity? Like it's like these same people keep getting funded and stuff. So it's like kind of frustrating, right? It's like
it's super frustrating. I think just in general, I've had a real, and this is actually a personal issue that I deal with in our own home. I started in the corporate side. I started in a bank, and it's just really hard, man, because how are you gonna? And I think that's when I started my fund. I ran a hedge fund for a bit, but I worked more on the debt side. I have another drink. If that's okay.
Yeah. You. Try one of these other ones.
Oh, I'm my man. I'm gonna try Kentucky Straight. So what we did is I don't understand how you're gonna come out and say your earnings are amazing and bullshit as the CEO of a company, and the very next week fire 18% of your workforce. I think what's really hard is innately people lie. And when they get in this space where they're like, Elizabeth Holmes was a good friend of mine, just growing up in Houston. And when we moved over there, and she was a good friend, and, you get caught up in your own words, when you're the youngest self-made billionaire female and you have a big chip on your shoulder and you're going to Barack Obama in the White House to have dinners and you want to do the right thing, that's a slippery slope. But and that's why I never really got into equity. People would always tell me when I ran my hedge fund, like, "Oh, what do you think about Apple?" I'm like, I don't give a shit about Apple, because the CEO of any company can lie, and the very next week they lay off half of their people. And that's why I care very little about startups raising money. Very, very little. We can all raise money with a good story. And we've seen it ad nauseum. It doesn't mean it's a viable company.
Yeah, even if stats out there, even if you raise money, VC money, you still only have 1% chance of making it, right?
I still don't even understand how some of these guys are valued at. Like a friend of mine works in a logistics company valued at $9 billion that isn't profitable. Explain that to me. I can't even, in my brain, I can't rationalize that. So I think there's some bad actors out there, and they put a stigma on everybody, but there's some good ones out there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And they just never get the limelight because they don't have the unicorn status.
And I think I might be wrong, but on your LinkedIn profile, it has a picture of a unicorn thrown up, isn't it? That's you, right? Yeah, that's perfect.
It's ridiculous, man.
And with Coinbase, like, you have to question their business, right? Because how do you not know this was going to happen, right? Like, you didn't have the foresight. You have the senior executive people on your team, and you can foresee this. And then there was on an article yesterday where supposedly like a bunch of employees at Coinbase signed a petition asking the CEO to fire his staff, right? Because like the staff got in this point, right? They was like, basically our employer brand is shot. If we go somewhere else, we have Coinbase, we look like shit, Of course, he blew them off. Basically told them, don't like it, go find a job somewhere else, right? So. Yeah.
I mean, there's another guy, I don't know if you guys saw with the Do Kwon guy. He did the UST Terra crypto and 40 billion erased. And the amount of bullshit he was espousing it's impressive, but he could baffle everybody with the bullshit. I mean, he's tethering lending on cryptos versus non-collateralized assets that are digitized, and everyone's they're just eating it up. He raised $400 million. Guy got a tattoo of a Luna coin on his arm. I'm like, you don't even know what the fuck's going on, guys. And in 3 days, he lost $40 billion. So I think, unfortunately, just with the hype, it's just going to come. And that's why, our company, Arch Assassin, now there's no buzzwords. There's no blockchain. There's no AI. There's no ML. We found a problem and we fixed a problem. Like, find a need, fill a need. That's what business is to me. I don't need any bullshit just to pretend like, I mean, I know how silly I am in general. Like, I don't need to pretend like I'm not. So we steer clear of all. And I don't think a lot of people, like, I traded these derivatives in FX for 12 years. I know these markets better than most. I still can't wrap my brain around anything that guy was saying. And when some people, when people rebuttal him and he goes, one of his tweets was, South Korean kid, he goes, I don't argue with poor people. And I'm like, it's just brilliant. You're like, in a nutshell, that's the entire company right there. So at that point, like, gracefully bow out from all of it. And don't hang your hat on that bullshit. That's not a startup. That's just that's hope. It's a lot of hope.
So Rod, you're also the board of advisors for a company out of New Zealand, right? Can you talk about that?
UARD, amazing guy. So Dr. Hansen is a brilliant human being. And he's doing something that should have been done a long time ago. And he's basically solidifying and then amplifying the credentials that go through real life. So, for example, Jay, you were in the Army for what, 25 years?
25 years, yeah.
You probably had some massive leadership experience.
Yes.
And what he's done, he's now getting you credit for that.
Okay.
So he's doing leadership. So you could get a master's in leadership, a master's in giving you the true accreditation from your experience in life. And to me, that's massively important, because we can talk about pieces of paper and learning, but if you're in the real world experience, is very, very different. Go back to Mike Tyson. Everybody's really good at shadow boxing, but when someone throws a punch in your face, it's totally different.
Yeah. You
and I can do recons all day long, or, any whatever physical revolution you want. But until you're out there and you hear it and you see it, it's just a lot of that.
Yeah. You can do 7-on-7 flag football drills all day long.
That's it. And
Until
you get hit in the mouth, you're like, shit. That one hurt.
Yeah, you get smashed in the mouth.
Yeah, and you got to get back up. And so what Dr. Hansen's doing is he's basically he went, which actually you're gonna love it. Mays School of Business, A&M.
Okay.
So he's now getting, so your experience of X, Y, and Z years, COVID. You're a nurse and you just went through the worst time there is. He or she, doesn't even matter, but you've seen leadership, you've seen emergency planning and management. So you get a master's in emergency prep and management through his school, which to me, and that's accredited through Texas A&M, May School of Business. You are giving people with real world experience the academic credentials that they deserve. And that's something I can really support, especially seeing the first responders that have been going through everything right now. Brother, sister, mom, dad are all physicians, seeing them work their fingers to the bone and understand coordinating anything under the sun in the ERs. That's leadership to me. That's emergency preparedness and management. And my business partner, Mary Kay, she's a master's, she's in communications, internal, external management and emergency communications. It's extremely lucrative and takes a skill set that nobody understands. She'll sit in front of 104 CEOs of hospitals. Great, you're the CEO of a hospital. If you can't explain to your constituency, not even externally, but just internally as well, what's going on, people aren't going to follow you. So I'm really, really happy about what he's doing. He's putting some great people through some education and getting them the accreditation that they deserve because they've gone through it.
So did they reach out to you to be on the board of advisors? You reach out to them? And some a few more questions, like, why did you say yes to them? And what makes you say yes to anyone to be on the board of advisors?
Absolutely. So I've had quite a few. And Dr. Hansen, Craig he was the Delta. He is so passionate, so articulate, and shows the most leadership of anybody I've ever seen. But more importantly, he's innovative. If there's something that he's not, he doesn't come, and by innovative, I mean, he has very little ego in a good way. He doesn't come in and see every nail with a hammer that he holds in his hand. He said, oh, this makes sense for this person. This makes sense for this person. So I'd have to be honest, the Delta for a lot of people too is the founder themselves. And Dr. Hansen was one of those. I was like, wow, when he talks, I listen. And I love what he's doing for the constituents.
And how long you been with them?
Oh, less than a year.
Less than a year.
Yeah.
So next, you have your own podcast, right?
We've tried. Yeah.
So what's going on with that? So you have a co-host, right?
I do. My business partner.
And it's like y'all two just talk about different things. You have any guests on, or how's that format work?
We almost do case work, case by case stuff. So she's an amazing, amazing, brilliant consultant, but she's very complimentary to me. We call it almost like the goofus and gallant. Yeah, I'm goofus and she's gallant, and she keeps everything kind of lined up, and I kind of go off the rails. But she's, a very well-educated Caucasian woman, and I'm kind of a truncated brown kid from Texas. So our rapport works really well. She's absolutely brilliant, and we have a really, really witty banter. But we try and do win or learn. We've both gotten kicked a lot, and we all have in life, and you can sit on that X of a loss, or it's a learning situation. And so when I've had some stuff with big black marks in my career, she was there for me, helping me understand, hey, do it this way moving forward. That's not who you are as a person. So we learned a lot. It's been a lot of fun. We try and look at case studies more importantly. So internally at companies, actually perfect example. Why isn't this? What's the internal metrics, and where's your employee handbook, and where's all this for your internal stuff for the HR, and why is it not working? It might not be HR. It might be, hey, you have the wrong beachhead market. You have the wrong product. Your go-to-market strategy off. But we really try and find the learning side of anything that's not exactly what you thought it would be. So it's been a lot of fun.
So from your time in entrepreneurship, being a lot of startups, your experience, what's the one thing you see like startup founders just consistently get wrong over and over and over again?
Their own bullshit. I have seen.
So they believe their own hype.
I've seen it a lot. I can't pretend I wasn't there too. I was lucky enough when I got humbled very quickly at a very early age, and it allowed me to just shut up and listen for a bit. It was a double-edged sword. I did extremely well way too soon. So I started believing my own Icarus bullshit. And then, you take a few shots and you come back, and then you start seeing those pattern recognition. Like, oh, you have a little bit of gumption, a little bit of traction, a little bit of validation, and you throw your own gas on that fire. And realistically, then you get yourself in trouble. Or then you don't have the infrastructure to scale and whatnot. So I think more importantly, and this comes full circle exactly what you said about Coinbase and raising money. I raised money to scale. Do not raise money to prove your product. I've known a lot of people who literally raise just to get $1 past their burn for the month. No. If you're like right now, if you are waiting on market liquidity to get you off the ground, your business needs you need to check it.
Yeah, I've heard if you raise the money to pay your current operation costs, you're like doing the wrong thing.
It's not going to work. It's just not going to work, especially when capital dries up and your story changes and you have some hiccups. So my first startup here in Seattle, Next Level, first month was profitable. And I didn't start it until it was. Like, I know for a fact, I love the lean startup, the Eric Ries models. In our SaaS solution, first month live was 11K in MRR, completely, 98% margin. So we made a point to only turn it on. It took me 17 months to get there. Let me be very, very clear about that. From ideation to first dollar of revenue, 17 months. First month, 11K in MRR, all net cash flow. So it took time, but I like taking, and I always do this. My hedge fund, it was a weird 6-month ramp up because I don't take the buckshot approach. I take a sniper shot approach. I want to clip the wings off of a mosquito a mile away because I want to go straight, institutional from the beginning. So we're very, very targeted in our approach. And that was something that's been beneficial for us, especially since, it's not a lot of cost spending out there just trying to test everything out. So taking a really, really cognitive and tactile approach to the startup allowed us to be like that. And I think most founders are like, get some traction, get their name out there, and then all of a sudden they start believing their own hype.
So talk about this, so I used to be a part of Bunko Labs, and the program for veterans and residents for like rework is like 10 veterans in different cities, free space. It's like 6-month program. I would help run it like weekly meetings, whatever, kind of like Founder Institute, but with all the equity stuff. And so at the beginning of each 6 months, I would ask everyone, what do you see yourself in 6 months? And so many people would say, we would have 100 customers and raise $2 million. I always have like the drawing back, right? Let's rethink this, like be more realistic, right? Yep. So many people, I'll be Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and they don't realize like Apple was an Apple like 8 years, right?
Yeah.
Mark Zuckerberg coded his basement like how many long ago it was, right?
Yeah.
It's like so many people like, I have this great idea. 5 people told me it's great. I see there's money out there, easy peasy, right? But then they get kicked in the teeth all over again, right?
I'll just be really honest. Right now, I have a startup and just helping them talk, and they're going straight into talking about raising money. And I said, what? Well, the product, what product, who wants the product, where are you going to sell the product, what's the pricing on the product? I mean, anything and everything. There was never an answer. Like, great, so you can go raise this money, which they probably could. I'll just be really honest. It's not the biggest amount of money. It's a good story, but there's nothing past the idea and the story. So at what point am I like, great, if you raise even $1, Jason, you still owe these people $1. And you don't really know what you're going to do with it next. And maybe this dollar that you raised, you didn't realize is actually needing to be $100 million.
Yeah.
And it's just going to end up being something tough. So, and at that point, I almost don't know what to say. I almost have to be like, hey, listen, you need to go back to your group and really tell your group what you're doing. Because this is kind of helping as an almost like a pseudo advisory role, but they're in a cohort like you might have mentioned. And I think it's, to be honest, it's on that incubator accelerator cohort to be like, hey, listen, no, hold on. And I was lucky again. I even saw him walking here, which I thought was crazy. Sean, my mentor, he put me through his program, and he said there's 3 outcomes: get your product up, scale your product, put 2 in the head, like take it to pasture. It's like, no, because they will tell you, we need to take this to pasture. You tried. We've spent 6 weeks on this. You either need to pivot or take it to pasture. So I really respected that. And that's why I went through that program, because I was like, hey, if you're going to tell me that my baby's ugly, I want to hear it.
Yeah. Sooner than later.
Absolutely. And then not even just your baby's ugly, your baby might need different shoes. Okay, cool. Let's look at someone else. So it was a really, really safe space to be vulnerable. And and then you respect that person. When you have that vulnerability and you know it's a safe space and it comes from safety and empathy, they're not trying to shit on.
Yeah.
They're just not.
Most people come from a good place, but there are a few who don't, unfortunately,
There are. And most of the guys who've done it before, they know how hard it was. So there's, Seattle, I don't know if you know Dave Parker. And, Dan, Dave, all these guys.
Oh, the one is John Seacrest.
Man, John, he
don't fuck around.
He doesn't fuck around.
He tells you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
It's funny. And
I tell people when they deal with John, when they go sit on your car, I tell them, hey, you better have a thick skin. You better, because he's going to tell the truth from his point of view.
So Jay, my cap table is completely clean, except for one person. Well, 2, my 2 advisors, and this guy I keep talking about, because the first time I met him, I didn't like him. I was like, this guy's a dickhead. And I kept respecting him. I kept talking to him. He kept telling me that, not what I wanted to hear, but what I needed to hear. He did it in the right way. And he is a life. I owe him. I really owe him, like the John Seacrest type people.
Yeah.
So it's good to have those in your corner.
Here's one for you. So people tell you all the time, take the feedback. If they say it's ugly, don't take it personal. But how do you not take it personal?
Fuck you.
You invested all your time in it. It's basically your baby. Like, are you kidding me? Right?
Fuck your face. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm not. How do you not take it personal? Like, you like they're slammed and like, no, do this, do that. That's wrong. That's wrong. You're like, I don't think it's realistic.
I had somebody tell me, but let's play this game. I talk a lot. I'll just be really honest. I talk a little too much. So when I'm talking about my ideas or my company or whatnot, it turns into kind of like this verbal diarrhea. It's like, well, and I tell you 14 steps. So we have a digital health and wellness based on healthy habits on personality. So Myers-Briggs. But if I told you in 7 years we're going to be a health insurance company, you're like, what the fuck? Okay. And I play chess in my head. So I had this conversation with some people, and I grew my hedge fund almost $2 billion. So I've done some stuff. And I remember I was trying to explain, I make all these assumptions. I just gave all of this, this is what we're doing, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, what the fuck is this crackhead? And then this person said, you are just not a leader. And I was like, it just stopped me. It stopped me in my tracks. And the first thing I was like, and so when I did that, I had to stop. It's like, okay, Raj, my message was terrible. My message was garbage. My delivery was garbage. It was frenetic. It was disjointed. It was my brain just dumped. And I'm like, so if a leader is someone who can articulately explain the vision, shit, I wasn't a leader that day. So it was hard. It was really, really hard. But I took it personally.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
I took it personally for 15 minutes.
Yeah. And then, I've been in a lot of pitch competitions, you see how different places, and like, you have the people do the pitches. Things always drive me crazy. Like they'll say, the pitch is 3 minutes, certain number of slides, and then you do the pitch, you get the feedback from the guest panel. You should have said this, you should have said that. Like, do you not understand the rules like I did? Like, yeah. Or of course, everyone gets good feedback. There's like only one person, right, who plays jump to jump, right?
Yep.
And you just tell they're not coming from a good place, but then you get to say, thank you, sir, may I have another,
Yeah. probably counterintuitive. That's why sometimes I don't do that stuff. A lot of people, they call it mentor whiplash.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm like, fuck you. It's just too much noise. It's too much noise. If you can find the signal noise, great. But I totally agree with you on that one. A lot of times, especially 60 seconds. Come on.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting though? So this is so bad. And John Seacrest, I was like, fuck you, John, because he kept 60 seconds cutting you off. I was like, and so then I got my ego and I got my butt hurt. And I said, no, but I have masters in this. Let me explain to you what I'm building. And he was like, I don't want to hear it. I was like, but and then another young lady was Caitlin Brainspace, amazing human being, doing so good. Her and her husband. She put me in the best way possible in my place. And it was a conversation with John and everybody there. And I was like, man, this Mad Lib 60-second bullshit. And she goes, yeah, Raj, but what about the power that comes from the ability to actually do that? I was like, if I can succinctly in 60 seconds give this beautiful, eloquent, big picture what I'm doing, that is powerful.
Yeah,
I hate to, no, I know. And so I sit back, I was like, damn it, Caitlin, you're right. If I could succinctly be like
ball moment right there.
You know what I'm trying to say? And I was like, damn it. So then so there was back to this. No, man, I want, but she's 100% right. The power of delivering something in 60 seconds to really get people to be like, oh shit, yeah, I get it. It was cool. So it's a double-edged sword. I personally, and I wholeheartedly contend, like, my resume is not a piece of paper. It's a conversation. This is what I did. This is what I'm doing. This is my vision, blah, blah, blah. And not everyone wants to hear that. You're not going to get first meetings that way. So I know that my arc is a much longer arc, and I play that long game myself. That's my personality. You have to also know who you are as a person.
Yes.
I mean, who you are physically, personality, philosophy. Can you deal with the long arc, the long game? With a company now, Lacera, the founder, Barrett. I mean, I didn't think I was going anywhere else outside of Thrv, and he gets it. He gets the long game. And that's hard. It's painful. It's hard. But the long game for me is sustainability and real change. So
yeah, you got to be authentic, right? I tell people for a job all the time. Like, now, don't get me wrong. If you need a job, do what you got to do, right? I'm not saying lie or anything, but maybe, like if you go for a job interview, I would say, hey, show your tattoos, right?
Yeah.
Be your person, right? But now if you needed like a job tomorrow because you're about to be homeless, then you maybe want to hire them, or like be, to ask a question, yeah, you answer it, right? But I always tell them, be authentic. Like my resume, I have my picture on it, I say, I'm a tattooed INFJ Army officer, all this shit's out front, right?
Yep.
Because like, you want people to know, right?
Absolutely.
And my thing, people say, well, you open up stuff to bias. Okay. So you're saying you're not gonna look at my LinkedIn profile?
Yeah.
And I'd rather have like not get a call back and then go to an interview and they say, oh, you're from Texas. And then in the back of my mind, we're gonna hire you from Texas, right? You waste all the time, right? Just to me, just be upfront about it, right?
And that's why, to be really honest, it's actually a great tool, because then it's binary.
Yep.
You don't have to waste your fucking time.
Yep.
If you're gonna look at my tattoos and not look at my master's degrees, cool. I don't want to talk. Like we probably won't have a great relationship.
Yeah.
To me, it's fucked up, but I left and I got knuckle tattoos for a reason. And then there was another thing with Barrett, and one of our executives has tattoos, and say something. It's just, and that's binary to me. That's a binary outcome of like, this is somebody I want to work with. This is somebody to build with, because I know it's past here. It's not just a short-sighted bullshit. So
my thing is like, hire the best person for the job. Where it is, right? Look past all the stuff, if you want to bring morality in, okay, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but still like, it's who's the best person for the job.
Totally.
And I think so many companies mess up, and I'll use Uber and Chick-fil-A, for example, right? Uber, like, pretty sort of like a progressive left-leaning company, right? So, but suppose they need a head of marketing. If I'm conservative, am I gonna go apply to work for Uber?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
And same thing with Chick-fil-A, pretty conservative, kind of Christian.
Yep.
If I'm a, left-leaning liberal, am I gonna apply to work there? I might be the best person in the job by far. I'm not wasting my time.
Yeah.
I just think so many people and of course, the business decisions, you want to, so I think it's kind of complicated, right?
I think that's such an interesting point, and you made such a great case study. And I don't talk politics and religion too much, but I've always been very intrigued with Chick-fil-A. I really have.
I mean, I know a lot of people who don't hate them because of views and different things, but man, like they're closed every Sunday, but they perform. I mean, it's top notch. I mean, you can't deny it. Like I know a lot of people in the, the LGBTQ community, like don't tell anyone, but I'll go Chick-fil-A every day, right? Like I'm not supposed to say this, but they do something right.
It's crazy. And a good friend of mine and a colleague, Dave Pendergrass, a brilliant human being, great company that he does, and majority. And he's a religious person, and I don't care because I think he's an amazing human. But I've seen he works a lot with Chick-fil-A, and I've seen a lot of his work and his employees. He's on the recruiting side. You see the sheer enjoyment, empowerment from Black, yellow, orange, male, female Chick-fil-A employees. It's amazing.
You can't fake that happiness.
You
24/7.
cannot, brother.
You cannot fake that 24/7.
You can't. And these people are like, I love my job.
I've seen them outside in the rain.
Come on.
Being like, hey, how can we serve you? It's a pleasure. Thank you, smiling, just so happy. Like, are you sure you're okay? No, this is great. You know, what do you need?
And the managers are in there doing the kitchen grill. And
that's the biggest thing. The managers can put in work.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
like to me, like I'll support that. I can't. Some shit in Texas I don't get either, and I'm bleeding Texas. I still my personal thing, but you know, they built some. They built people that love what they do, and for me, that's a company. That's cool.
And then I might be making this up, but I think if you want to get a franchise, it only costs like $10,000.
Insane.
And they loan it to you like a 1% interest rate.
Stupidest shit I've ever heard. You do like Subway, it's like $2 million and blah blah blah, and it's garbage anyway. But then like because we were franchising our one of our other companies, it's insane. And I'm telling you, the empowerment that these people have, it's the only one I've actually kind of good friend, and he was at Costco.
Yeah, Costco's a good one too.
And he was head over heels for Costco, brother. He was just and I'm like, he's got the red vest and he's at the cashier stand. I'm like, B, you good? And he was just a pig and shit. He was so happy, and I'm like, how are you, Costco? But then like, you know, you do the Guy Raz thing. You go listen to Guy Raz, and this is what Mary Kay and I, the Zebra companies. Dan Price of I don't know if you know
Gravity.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
cool. The other person, Otterbox. You ever heard of Otterbox's story?
Yeah. This
motherfucker, he goes every year. He's like, I'll pay you a full year's salary to leave if this is not what you thought it would be. And they're like, no, I'd never leave. I love it.
Yeah.
Come on. Did we overpromise and under? No, I'm an Otterbox of all places.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's worth a couple $2 billion.
I'm going Chick-fil-A.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm going Chick-fil-A and Starbucks.
I'm telling you.
Those two places. What are you doing? You working part-time, college, full-time gig, you know?
But Gravity Payments had the same thing for a customer success. So a customer support person, they put up a customer support job. 872 people applied.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
872 fucking people. Come on, you're doing something right. For customer service to get 872 applications. That's cool. And that's a business that's sustainable, even through downturns.
Oh yeah.
Those are those ones. And like, if you want to talk about startup, I was lucky enough to work with a company, and we had a team, only about 11 of us. When our founder, he just wasn't running it right, and we were going to miss payroll, and all 11 were like, it's cool.
Yeah.
Get us next time.
I know the same thing happened with Gravity. Dan Price when COVID first hit. All of the employees, I think like 95% took a pay cut. He didn't have to ask. They just came to him, hey, we're taking out, we need to cut this money out. You know,
come on. And you know, he made him whole 10 times over.
Oh yeah.
It's not fucking complicated, Jay.
No.
It's not. You know it's not. So that's why like all this and I think what happened when I came up here, I still had that old school mentality, and it's hard. And I've had to force it here. I'll be really honest. I've had to force it. I'm lucky again. I keep pontificating about her. Sorry to the wife. Mary Kay, she's good people, man. She doesn't budge. She knows who she is, and she knows who she doesn't care about.
Yeah, I would say like, no, people are your best resource. Take care of people. However, some people do suck.
Yeah.
I think the problem is a lot of people, bosses, they took too long to get rid of those people that suck, right? And my thing is like, if you keep in mind to fire someone, everyone in the company already knows they should have been gone, right? And so they see the people getting away with bullshit, they're not doing right, and they tend to do the same thing, right? So yeah.
I actually I probably shouldn't say this out loud. Like, I do respect him. I watch most issues. Gary V, fire fast. Yeah. Just fire fast. He already knows, don't make it 3 years. Don't make it 3 months.
He's talking about in his pocket about how he made mistakes before, trying to be empathetic. What do you need? Can I help you out? And just sees it like this person brings no value, right? And everyone sees this of you, Gary.
Yeah. And now,
but it's hard, right? No one wants to be the bad person, right? And there's always like, oh, it's his birthday, Christmas coming up,
There's always going to be
the
something.
baseball game, whatever,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
His pinky hurts.
yeah. Oh, it's 65 degrees today,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. It's raining. We can't fire him today.
Yeah, but
No, I've been lucky enough to see so many different styles of leadership and pull the best and understand the worst, to be honest. And I I think it's a really interesting paradigm. But what's fucked up now is we want to talk about leadership. Where are we all trying to get our leadership from? And we're not seeing it. Whatever leadership is going on right now is just kind of a rounding error. And I'm not talking politics or anything like that. Just in general, like we're a dumpster fire. So
we
if
are.
that's something where you're like questioning, like, well, that's supposed to be this pseudo leadership. Who am I then to start my own type of leadership? So I think it's getting people very agnostic and getting people to do whatever they think they can to make it work, which I respect. I have to understand that model. If you in Texas, all places doing it the wrong way, but if you shut down, I understand the greater good, but if you shut down somebody's business, shut down somebody's business for a period of time due to X, Y, and Z, you should have a fucking constituency or a plan. You need to have a plan in place. You have to have a plan in place, a contingency plan in place for when you shut people down. You don't just say, hey, I'm gonna shut you down. We're gonna figure it out, and you're gonna figure it out. I mean, I heard some crazy shit. And I'm sure you had too, but people kind of really getting the short end of the stick. And I can understand the frustration. I really, really can. I can't agree to it and I can't condone it, but I can understand.
So two things. First thing, just a comment. So I don't like to talk about policy. No, that's fine. No, but one thing is like, we as a country, we have to do better. Instead of 2024 is going to be Biden, Trump again. Like as a country, come on, man. Like we have to do fucking better.
It's going to be painful
than Biden, Trump. Like, are you kidding me? Right? Before then it was Trump, Hillary Clinton. Like we have to do better. There has to be someone out there we don't know about. It's going to be like some kind of like, JFK, Ronald Reagan type, charismatic leader who like is hopefully under 60 years old, right? It's going to be we can't have Biden, Trump again. I mean, it cannot happen, right?
And like, brother, I'm I'm a Texan. I'm like a quintessential, like I'm a Texan before I'm an American. Don't say that in public.
I'm the same way.
I'm a Texan before I'm an American.
For American.
Yeah. I am. I'm still like, what the fuck are you guys doing? What are you guys doing? And you're my people. You're my people. What the fuck are we doing? So it's hard. It's really, really hard. And I own guns. I mean, that's me as a person. And it's hard. It's really hard, man. It's really hard. And I'm a Middle Easterner. Like that doesn't help either. Let's be really real. It's as we my wife, she's Asian, and we got my son and I were in a car. Sorry, Seth, you don't know this. We got pulled up. We got cut off by somebody, and they got out and were yelling at my son. And yeah, kid's fucking 6. He's 6. Just because he's Asian. Like really, you don't know me, man. Let's just like get in your car. But then he started talking about what car I was driving versus what car he was driving, and how he's just the worst. I was like, so I hear all this this vitriol and just espoused from his mouth, and it was just the most arbitrary, random shit. I'm like, hey man, you okay? Like it was not about me. It was my son. It wasn't.
Just something else going on.
The curb for 30 minutes and just talked.
Yeah.
He was like, man, I'm not. I was like, okay, dude. We still text now. Like, I get it. And I think, unfortunately for me, I mean, I go from 0 to 100 real quick, and I try not to. I think we're all just in that space right now. I've never seen it more bipolar, to be honest, to be straight up honest. I've never seen it more bipolar. I don't know what your experience was, but back home, shit, man, I had the most ghetto ass dudes and the most country ass dudes, and we were thick.
Yeah.
We were thick.
Yeah.
We were thick.
Exactly.
We were so thick. Like what? It's been a transition.
It's crazy times, right?
It is. And back home, as I'm sure like if we don't like you, we're gonna stab you in the face. Here it's or like in places now, it's like, oh, behind your back. Like, no, just tell me. Just tell me. It's okay. It's okay. We'll be better off just understanding who we are and where it comes from. I think there's so much going on. I mean, with these exigent circumstances that are so reactive, it's like, where is it stemming from? Like, truly, why are you so upset? What are you scared about? What's going on? I watched a really, really, really interesting documentary about just African-American heritage and all the pain. And it's like, and it really ended with this young lady being like, you're lucky that we don't want revenge. We just want like equality. I'm like, damn, like that hit. Yeah, it hit, dude. So there's a key on that one. The key to what? The city?
Yeah. So with this, I guess back in the day, she came up. It was like there's 5 keys to interest or something, right? So that gives the key. It's the stories on the bottle.
That's cool. Maybe a speakeasy or some shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So next, on your LinkedIn profile, you did something that says like just ship it. Talk about just shipping it. And like everyone's so like, oh, my baby's not perfectly perfect, you know.
Never will be, dude.
Yeah.
Never will be. Yeah. Let's break it. I have a friend. I have an amazing friend, and I haven't talked to her in maybe 3 or 4 years. And she always just told me, "What are you doing, Joe? What are you doing, Joe? Just throw the hat. Throw it over the fence. We'll figure out how to get it. Just act. Make action." So, you're going to sit in this analysis paralysis. We'll be analytic. We're our biggest critics. We hate, we'll poke as many holes. It's not perfect. It's not perfect. Who's going to judge me? And it goes back to that whole ego thing. And it goes back to that imposter syndrome. And it goes back to just not letting others get in front of your way and shipping it to me, and that action and getting off that X of thought process is just the best way to do it. Because you're never going to just be perfect from day one. And so we shipped something, and it definitely wasn't good. It wasn't what I wanted. Didn't look optically the way, and all the accoutrement could have been much better. And the actual engagement was in the 90 percentile. So like, okay, enough, just enough. If the content and the value is there, it doesn't matter what bow is wrapped on. So I'm a big believer in just put something out there and push and iterate and push and iterate and push and iterate, or else you sit in this analysis paralysis. Mm-hmm. And we all know, hey, cool, cheesecake menu, 47 pages.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Or just have some fucking chicken or have some steak and see which one you like.
Yeah.
That's it. So we try and keep it simple. So I was really lucky that I got my old man. My old man, he's shrewd as fuck, and he's a physician, he's world renowned, but he's a businessman at heart. And he's always just like, just act, just go.
So talk about your family background more, because like everyone's a physician. You have 2 master's degree, you was in medical school for a while. Like y'all some big brain jokers in your family, right? Like y'all do some big things. That how was that growing up? Having all those role models. Like
it was a dumpster fire.
Was almost like, hey, you have no chance. You have no choice but to be successful. Because everyone is so successful.
Where do you want this to go?
Where you want to go take it?
So older brother, older sister, a mom, and a dad. And there was another one.
And you grew up in Houston, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So medical center, right off the boat though. We fled a war. My parents fled a war. So
what country in the Middle East are you from?
Lebanon.
Okay.
So Muslim Christian war, 36 years, really bad. 3,000 mortars over my dad's head, finishing up his career in medical school, like literally under a desk. Came straight to Brooklyn with $432 in his, just a quintessential. And I love it, walking through snow with
yeah, okay. Walking 10 miles with no feet.
You must know my dad really well, man. You must know my dad really well. So he comes in, he does his thing, and we can go to those stories. But moved to Houston. Older sister was the prodigy. She wasn't. She was of the immigrant family. So it was basically like she worked her fingers to the bone. She did everything she could. The Duke, the brilliant, hardworking daughter, valedictorian of her class. Blah, blah, blah. My brother came along and he was a savant. He's a Doogie Howser, MD, PhD kid, just fucking brilliant. Super douche though. Like he has no
people skills.
Wow. Hey Kareem, his name's Kareem. Hey Kareem, what's the hardest part of your day? Going throughout the day without insulting people. I'm like, dude, you can't like.
So basically, you're Sheldon Cooper.
It was so. Oh my God, and then some. And then some. He was shut. Oh my God. And then some. So, and then it came to me and they're like, all right, well, Raj, your 2 siblings are smart. Like, what the fuck are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. So, by the skin of my teeth, I matriculated into school because of the last name, to be honest. I knew what I wanted to do. It wasn't that, but I basically had to do it to make my parents happy. Typical Middle Eastern story. So at this point, we're in Houston. Parents were running hospital systems, brothers and sisters were in hospital systems, and I was here like, yeah, I played college sports and like I kind of do things and stuff and it's fun, yay. Because I was never the academic, and I leaned into not being the academic, and I was the They always say, who's the black sheep? I mean, I was oil spill dark. Like I was the worst of the worst of the worst. Because my brother and I were Irish twins, 11 months apart. And it got to the point where my mom's was, fuck this, I'm so tired. I'm just like so tired. I went to school in a cab. Like that was literally what we did. And I kind of got lost in the wayside. And my identity didn't come from academics, it came into sports. So that was what I leaned into. And that's where I found my belonging, to be really honest. And not super close with anyone in our family. We all love each other. We respect each other. They all live here, really like a block away at Swedish and Fred Hutch and stuff. And we don't really keep up too much. We respect each other. We all have our own families, but
that's how I find like most families do it. Like, you know, they grow up close and then they just like, go different places and just friends come up. Yes, unfortunately though, I think all families are like that. And every family, like everyone knows my family's the craziest. No, you know, it's not.
Isn't that hilarious?
My family's the craziest.
No,
it's not.
my family was crazy. Like, yeah, we have the same
Like,
Uncle Ernie you do too.
Yeah,
Trust me.
Yeah, it's like hold my beer.
Yeah. That's exactly what it was. So we got to the point where it was just like, okay, who can trump who, and no pun intended. And then we're close enough. We're close enough. It's been I'll be honest, we coming off the boat, they put a lot of focus on certain things that I don't have as much of a focus on. Hey, I don't have a lot of student debt, so I'm privileged in that respect. I got a college scholarship, which was great, but if I didn't get one, they would have helped. So there was definitely an opportunity cost. But I'll tell you right now, and maybe it's that pendulum that has one extreme, then goes to the other extreme. My pendulum was here. It might be over here. My better half, we don't have a nanny. We have 2 kids. We don't have a nanny, so we take our kids to school, pick them up from school. We're done at work when school's done. We're trying to be present. We're really, 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 and it might shoot us in the foot in the future, but for right now, it's what we wanted.
And how old are your kids?
I think I have 2 at this point. 6 and 3.
6 and 3. Yeah, to me, 6 is a perfect age. No, but they still look up to you. Like they still admire you, right?
It's so cool. What about you?
Mine are all grown. My oldest is like 32, 33, then 26 or 27 and 24. They're all grown. Yeah.
Our 6-year-old, he's exactly that. He's getting into his own. He's having a voice. He's having actually, our 3-year-old is too. I'm like, where the fuck you come from? Our boy, he's moving, he's shaking, he's putting exactly. He's getting a little bit more.
See his personality coming out.
He's got some jokes. I'm like, okay, little kid, like shut the fuck up, all right? He's starting to smell. It's like, all right, he's like a thing. He's not just this blob of amorphousness. He's like a really cool, and he's a good kid. So he's got his consciousness, and I'm like, where the fuck is this coming from? But he knows it. He's getting empowerment. He's getting right and wrong. He's getting protection for others. He's kind of getting the bigger picture stuff.
That's good.
It is. It's weird. It's really weird. But then you want to nurture that. You don't know how to. You don't know how to like really lean into it, and you don't want to fuck it up. You don't want to derail it. You don't want to add to it. You want to have his own voice.
Because there's no man to be a parent. Everyone's just figuring that shit out. Everyone is.
I'm telling you right now.
Everyone's trying to figure that shit out. No one is the perfect parent, you know.
I went as far as Neil deGrasse. As weird as this sounds, like this motherfucker, like super nerd people will say, but like he's just a bro. He was talking about his kids, and he's like, he got so mad at a family and a parent like telling the little kids. He watched this maybe 4 or 5-year-old run up to this big puddle of water, and he's like, oh, you could see the excitement in his eyes. Like, oh, water displacement. But then the parents stopped the kid, and he's like, no, let the kid get,
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, let them get the consequences.
Yeah.
So, you want to get them the consequences safely.
Yeah.
But shit, dude, I get it.
My thing has always been like my parents got when my kids were younger, like pose on a swing, right? I push them to the swing, go higher. I go higher as high as they want. Now, when they fall out the swing, eventually you pick them up, wipe them off. You good? Okay, get back on the swing, right? But you have to learn lesson along. Another thing, I think a lot of people get wrong. Like to me, once your kid is 13, that's them, right? There's no, if you don't have the morality, integrity, what do you want to call it? Whatever type of person you want by 13, because then the peer pressure takes over. The different outside influences that would hang out with you. To me, it's 13, right? It's always been me 13.
And I think that's why we've leaned so much into these early formative years. We're just like, when you get to this autonomous zone where you're going to get, armpit hair and all your little shithead friends telling you what to do, light some shit on fire, we won't be there. Like our thought process is done.
Yeah.
It's on you now.
Here's one for you. And I'll tell you, Tom. So the question to you is, what makes a successful parent? And this is my answer. Most people say, I'm a successful parent if my kid goes to law school, doctor school, makes millions of dollars, married, does something like really nice. To me, my thing is like, it's pretty simple. If your kids are contributing to society, basically have a job and paying taxes, you've done your job. If they're taking away society, like they're robbing people, they're on welfare all their life, then you haven't done your job.
To me, my litmus test was, the king passes when he knows the prince can be a king. So when I know when my son is ready to be a responsible person, more importantly, I think success, to be completely honest, is just to be a good person.
Yeah.
So empathy, understanding. I don't give a shit if he never makes a penny, if he loves what he does and he works hard, because you work hard if you believe in what, which means he has a moral code or something that's driving him, a passion. I'm jaded. I'll be very honest. I'm jaded, and maybe the context will help. I didn't see my parents growing up. I just didn't. That was status quo. Neither did my siblings. We just didn't see them. 10 o'clock is when they came home, falling asleep on the couch. Okay, cool. Why? So you can have homes in 10 different countries and never fucking step foot on them? I'm good. And I respect them for everything they did. They didn't have parents. My parents both lost their parents in the war. My dad was 3 when he lost his parents. My mom was like 5. Their siblings raised them. They had no idea. I have so many tattoos because I started self-cut when I was 10 for a long time, for about 6 full years, really, really bad. When I transitioned and covered them all up with tattoos because I was more socially accepted. But I remember going hat in hand to my family, being like, hey, like, this is what's going on. Nothing came from it. Not to fault them, because they obviously didn't know what to do, but I think it's a really, really, really important imperative for me. And again, my pendulum might be here, needs to come back here. To me, if my son can speak, or I apologize, if my child, daughter, son can speak to what here and here in a safe but true place, I'll be really happy. I'll be really honest. That's what's going to make me happy, because then we can have a conversation. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they won't be alone. And I was alone for way too long, and it just did some detrimental stuff to me, which then was detrimental to relationships. Even at 38, I'm like 37. Even at 37, I'm like, it's sad. Still, like, in the back of my head, subconsciously, not out loud, be like, the die is cast with my family. I don't think that's right. I don't think it has to be, but that's where I am.
You make a good point. Like so many people out there, like they grew up in like a single parent home, like no father, right? They get married and they have sons, right? And they're like, they have no idea how to be a father, right? Because no one taught them right. So like, am I doing it? And then they, maybe they do things wrong. And even then, if you do have a father, maybe your father taught you the wrong way to do things, And, back in my day, kids used to get beat the hell out, right?
Yeah.
You got beat. Now, shit, no one's beating their kids no more, right? It's no, that's not happening, right? So times changed, different standards changed too, I think,
It sucks too, because like, and again, we don't have, we could talk about gun control and stuff, and when it comes to just talking to your fucking kids, just fucking talking to your kids, and then being vulnerable yourself. There was this was actually a big thing for me. There was a huge transition with my own. So I had a big black mark on one of my companies. My old man had a big black mark on one of his companies, and he got stuck in the middle of a really shitty spot. And it wasn't on him, but he was stuck, CEO of 2 hospital systems, and they basically were like, it was a divorce. It was a divorce of hospital systems, and he was a caught on both sides. And he's like, I don't resent him, but like we never talked about it. For 2 years he went through, and this is when I was a grown ass man. I was in my 20s and 30s. I said, Pops, like, you're not alone. I'm not your son. I mean, I know I'm your son, but I'm not a child.
Yeah.
He never gave me that like vulnerable, and I get it, because he never had that. So again, I might be doing it the wrong way, and it can be from a PTSD from before, but I think if I just find some of the pitfalls that have put me where I am, and I'm trying just to mitigate them if possible.
And so that's a challenge I have as a father, right? So my kids are all grown, daughter married, I have a grandchild, kids grown, they're doing their own thing.
Totally.
But to me, they're always like being 8, 9, 10, right? And I know I shouldn't think that, but it's not like, and I'm like, and like whenever like
cut that shit out, Jackson.
and they're like so independent, right? Like so independent, right? And I always like feel left out, right? Can you tell me what's going on?
Yeah.
I'm good. You need some help with this? No, I'm good. And like it hurts, right? But then again, it's like then my wife said, no, that says you did your job, right? But then it's like it's just hard, right? Because you want to be like, the super dad, come depend on me, But then it's like, yeah.
But did you ever go through something that you didn't want to tell your kids about?
Oh yeah.
And I think that one got to me. I'm like, hey, Pops, like, I know I'm your kid. I'm a grown ass man.
Yeah.
Have some respect for me to know that I could maybe help in the situation.
Yeah.
It was actually really cool. I had my other mentor. So I have two guys I just lean into so much.
Try this one next.
Yes, sir.
And after you do this one, we're gonna after you do this one, we're gonna have you do a review of all of them.
And then done. I look at him as a mentor, and I was talking about he has an EA, and so I sent an email to his EA about some stuff, and he goes, "Hey man, like," he texted me, he goes, "You don't have to send this to my EA." I was like, "Oh, I mean, that's the program." I was like, I talked to him about the relationship with my dad and how I kind of see the relationship with him, and he stopped me in my tracks. He goes, "Hey, listen, like I need to talk to you about something." I was like, "Yeah, of course." He's like, "This isn't like I don't know what the fuck. This isn't a paternal relationship. It's not." He's like, I talk to you. I get value from you, like mentor, mentee, whatever the fuck you want to think it is. This is not a paternal, like, and it was really cool for him to say like, no. I value the things that you're saying as well. So I think when people get that, oh, Pan Africa, that's cool.
So this one right here,
that's a really cool one, man.
Yeah. So this one is Italy. I'm from Italy, and this is a town my family came from. Yeah, that's my family came from.
Colombo.
So I have I have an aunt that traced our family history back to the year 1100 to a town called Gallo something in Italy. Yeah.
But what would like the MCS or like the diagram under?
This one. Yeah. So talking about Myers-Briggs, I'm INFJ. So I Googled INFJ image, and this came up. It's actually like some kind of Hindu Buddha symbol, though.
Super cool.
Yeah. Then the yin yang stuff. Yeah.
It's great, man. I love all of them. What about is that a zodiac?
Yeah, a Sagittarius. Cool. Yeah. Then I'm Catholic, so the up down side cross for St. Peter.
St. Peter.
Blue bonnet for Texas. Republic for Texas. My grandson's name, right? My grandson's name here.
Suicide.
To come take it. So this one is I'm from Gonzales, Texas.
Yeah.
And so the story, if you don't know, when the Texas War for Independence started, the Mexican government had given Texas a can to protect themselves. Indians, when war started, they came to get the cannon, and the people in Gonzales said, "No, come and take it." Right?
Yeah.
All these flags, and you see all the flags.
And there was only one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the commas, the semicolon.
Just like mental health awareness, depression, stuff like that. Yeah.
That's the same one.
Yeah. And this one talk about Neil. I can't never say his name right. The Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yeah. So like everything in our body, same thing as stars. So this is I am star stuff.
That's cool. Man.
Yeah, different things like that. And I have like a grandmother's name here. Yeah. So I just then
run through it, dude. Run through it.
Yeah. So here is on one side it says in Italian, remember to live, the best, live your life.
Yep.
Another one here is kind of dark, but it's to me it's good. Like it says, if I die, I die. I mean, like, I've lived my life. I've lived a great life, so I've lived all I could.
I got a Johnny Cash, God's gonna cut you down. Like my old lady and I, it's If I Was a Carpenter by June. Mm-hmm. So John, like, and my dad, God bless him, man. He's just a little midget Lebanese. He's just a midget Lebanese dude with the quintessential mustache of an immigrant. You got to respect this man, and he worked his fucking fingers to, and he learned English with Johnny Cash.
Oh wow!
So Nat King Cole,
and like you said, you asked me, what have I done things my kids don't know about? I'm sure your dad went through things he never told you about.
He did, and that's life. That's life.
Whatever you didn't do, your parents see you for success, right? Yeah.
Listen, we weren't beat. We had a shelter. We were so fucking privileged. It's insane. It was, so this man, he had one of 14. There's only 8 left. They all died in the war. He fled in the middle of the night. He had to fake his name. He has 3 birthdays. He came with, the $482 in his pocket. He was in Brooklyn, New York, and they said $17 for the night, plus tax. So it's, 18. No, fuck you. No, you're not going to take advantage of me. You said 17. He goes, sir, it's called tax. He's like, no. You said 17. He's like, yes, but it's called tax. Like, no, 17. I'm no immigrant. No, 17. Okay, sir. Here's your 7.
Yeah. You think the immigrant story, like people come over from the Vietnam War, come from Afghanistan. The immigrant story, like, I never to me, like, people say, no, cut down immigrants. Like, why? It brings so much like perspective, like the hunger, the stuff that people do, right? Like,
now, I understand being scared. Mm-hmm. That I understand, because I see it. I totally understand, people coming in and doing things we don't want to do. I get all this fucking paradigm, but the reality of the situation is people are people.
Yeah,
we're just human beings.
They want us to do better than other people, right?
Come on, man.
But unfortunately, there's always like 1 out of 1,000 people like gonna try to take advantage of you. There's Nigerian princes out there, like, so you gotta be aware. You can't be naive,
And like, you know what really got, I mean, again, I don't speak to anything, but like in Uvalde, like he really didn't. Nah, just nah. Just the whole thing fucking sucks. And this is where we are. This is where the fuck we are.
It does.
Well, we could be better.
Yeah. And other people said like what's getting worse. I don't think it is. I think the same thing going on has always been going on, right? It's just that we know about it instantly.
So what happened, I think, in our last, again, whatever you want to call our last administration, like it just came to like the masks were taken off. Mm-hmm. I don't think it was like this is new. I think it's like, oh, now we all see what's going on. So it's been again, right, wrong, or indifferent. I think we're just in a very different space, and I just hope we can, figure it all back out.
Here's one for you. So we're talking about business during COVID. So this is my theory, right? So a lot of business closed down during COVID, right? My theory is like mostly like 95% of business that closed down, they would have closed down anyway, but maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years from now.
Yeah.
Because COVID has accelerated the failure process.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree. I think what also sucks too is this is what kind of history does. Katrina, when I was in New Orleans, like there was a paradigm that they wanted out because they were on their last leg, and that's what was going on. So I think COVID actually made the right startups be the right startup.
Yeah, I agree.
It did. So like in our company, we mushroomed massively during COVID.
I mean, COVID was bad, people died, that's a very bad thing, but I know a lot of people like for example, I mean, I know Zoom will never admit this, but for Zoom, shit, can't tell me don't say in the eternal circles, COVID was a blessing.
Yeah. No, I think, I think philosophically then, like, I'm not sure. It's funny. I don't think we're going to go back. I really just don't. I don't why we should, but I think it's important to understand, again, COVID, right, wrong, or indifferent. It definitely showed the true colors of what a legitimate business is. And this is kind of going back to that funding we keep talking about. You can have a great story, and stories get to certain points when times are good. When reality hits the road, and that's just, and again, my old man always told me, find a need, fill a need. Don't make some fluffy bullshit. Fluffy bullshit is great, but fluffy bullshit, when shit gets south, the first thing to go is your gym membership and your haircut.
Yeah.
So don't be a gym membership and a haircut. Like, be a value add that people want. Be the pain pill, not the. And it's hard to tell people. A perfect example, again, I was asked to invest and be an ad board for a company which I respected. It was more of like a frill. It was like a dating thing, and I was like, great, and I think it could make money, but I couldn't understand the true value add. So I'm sure at this point, after 2 years, and especially with COVID, it's not around anymore.
Until you got to be innovative, right? Like I think some of the first ones out of business did the same thing. Yeah. Where so many restaurants, like they delivered drinks, delivered food. Yeah. They stood outside. They did whatever they had to do. Yeah. So yeah.
And that's what I think that's a real, not pivot, but a real ability to be a company is to have adaptability and flexibility. You're not wed to one thing. You're not this. You're not this. And that's why we did so well in our company. It was like we had an idea, but when it's funny, like I have a hypothesis in life. When I was in economics, I had a hypothesis on my economics. But when facts change, like true facts, hey, this policies has changed. This is closing. This is done. This is up. This is down. I didn't stick to some bullshit narrative that didn't adjust with the facts. But again, you go back to the false narrative. You go back to this imposter syndrome, the ego. And if you're built on an imposter syndrome and an ego that's more like sand, not a foundation, you can't pivot because your sand can't pivot. Yeah. So a lot of the people who are like, oh, we have this great idea for blah, 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 blah. It's more just like a story. The idea wasn't actually baked out.
Yeah.
I think also, and being very, very upfront, I think there needs to be more people being like, no, just no. Like, not Founders Institute, but just some groups. Like, again, I have this person right here, and they're going to raise some funds and do this MVP. They have no idea about what the constituency, what's their target market is. They have no idea about anything. And at this point, I'm like, what do I do? Like, do I actually reach out to the group that they're with and be like, you need to talk to these people because they're just going to be, you're not setting them up for success, which is a hard conversation to have, but the right one to have.
You don't want to kill anyone's dream or nothing like that. You want to have them keep the fire, but still you got to be realistic, right? I mean, like
you do. And then what will kill the dream is if they raise that money and do what they want and nothing comes from it. And then just like, holy shit.
Or worse, they try to raise money and other investors say no, and they get a bad reputation,
Totally. And they go raise again for the same thing. Like, no, we already said no once.
Yeah.
And that's why I think I think raising money is such a weird paradigm. I have yet to raise any money for myself. So my hedge fund, I raised about a 180 million, but that was just for like to get the assets in. We used 270 million for all 4 funds, but on the and then we organically grew it. I like for my first startup, I didn't raise any money. My second startup, haven't raised any money, and the SaaS solution, I still haven't raised any money because I want to prove it. I really, really, really want to prove it, and then we'll only scale what we've proved. So that's the best way to do it.
So next, do like a deep dive on mental health and healthcare reform.
Where do you want to start? So I'm a massive, massive proponent of mental health. I was on SSRIs, and I still am, for 17 years. I went to a therapist every week for 11 years. I went into the Menninger Clinic in Houston, Texas for 34 days, which is an inpatient mental health clinic because I had a mental health relapse. I think mental health is a real, real issue, and mental health reform is as low on the totem pole as it comes, which is really frustrating, but I understand. And I'm extremely happy with Mark Cuban right now. I'm extremely happy with the medical.
What did Mark Cuban do?
So Mark Cuban did a online pharmacy, but for cost. It doesn't take insurance because with insurance you have to negotiate, with those providers. So Mark Cuban did an online pharmacy, and I actually personally went on there to look at my SSRIs, which are the serotonin reuptake inhibitors, for my depression and mental health. And I'm really impressed that it's being embraced on a bigger level. I think cognitive function, I think people don't understand that we manifest our mental cognitive functions so much into the physical side. And I take the predicate approach of it's a holistic approach, mental, physical, and wellness. It goes together, no question. So I think mental health is a massive problem right now. It's more of a pandemic than most people think. And mental health reform is something that is so far low on the totem pole. I hope somebody can drag it into the feud. And the problem too is it's been bastardized over the past 2 years with COVID, because I'm not sure if you saw a lot of these guys in the billions of valuation that do mental health telemedicine now have been prescribing opiates and stuff like that.
In the army, in the military, like the VA, like here's some oxytocin, here's some this, that, and then to me, it's even worse than that. Well, okay, you gave me like 10 pills a day to take, right? What's even worse, like they said, go cold turkey.
Yeah.
So like just like that,
Yeah.
no more pills. Like,
Yeah.
are you kidding me, right? Like, and then what they're gonna do? They're gonna go to the black market,
Of course they
get on
are.
the street,
Of course they are.
Is this?
Do you fault them?
No.
Oh, fuck no.
No.
I fault the VA, and I don't fault the VA. Of course, I don't fault them. Just the whole thing. And it's pretty impressive because they had a panacea in their head for X amount of years, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh no, oh no, we're going to take that back." You're like, wait, hold on, what?
Things with the VA gets a bad rep, but things like I go to the VA down American Lake, nothing but great experiences, right?
Yeah, the American Lake.
American Lake, man, to me, the top-notch stories, like on time.
Yeah.
But I heard stories from my peers at different places. They're like, oh my God, like, are you kidding me? Like, is this ridiculous, right? Is this the same VA? So
Seattle VA, I had a guy 18 months before he got deployed.
Yeah.
And he killed himself. And I'm not going to put that on them, but I'm going to put that on them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, dude. I'm not. I don't mince my words.
Like
18 fucking months for one psych eval. I'm good. So yeah, but it's not lucrative.
Yeah.
It's not a hip replacement in the OR. It's not a this. It's not a this. And I get it. I get it. So you have to think, how does pharma get in here? How does everybody come to the table to eat together? How can we make everybody kumbaya just to help?
Yeah.
Just to help, for the love of anything. And that's why, and when I hate it, I love philanthrocapitalism. I love the billionaires like the Mark Cubans who actually give a fuck. And it's funny, you talked about Enron.
Yeah.
My good friend John Arnold, he sent Taurus Energy after Enron, and he made $840 million in Enron. But now he's fighting mental health and pension problems and stuff like that. And my co-founder, a friend of mine, he's working with him. It's like, it's a funny thing. It's like almost the privatized fight against this public problem.
Yeah, I know. Like I think it's called Generation Z. I always get the names messed up.
Yeah. I don't even know what generation we're on.
Yeah,
At this
Generation
point.
Z, like, a lot of people give them grief for stuff, they eat Tide Pods, all this crazy shit. But my thing is like, I admire them for the stand they take for mental health, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like, I'm taking mental health day.
Yeah.
Oh, you fired me, right? And so I admire them for that, right? They're like upfront depression. I have this, I have this.
100%.
Cause my generation, you might not say you fucking depressed. Are you depressed?
Tighten the fuck up.
What are you depressed about?
Dry your eyes.
You want to really be depressed?
Yeah.
You're fired.
Yeah, exactly.
Want to be really depressed? You're fired.
Dry your eyes, man. No, and again, I think that might then play into the whole modality of us not having like a nanny or a third party with our kid. Because I want to be like, hey man, I know you're 5 going on 6, but like, you okay?
Yeah.
What's going on? Is there a problem? Use your words. And people might be like, oh, he saw it. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Bitch, I have enough bullet holes and stab wounds in me right now. Like, if my son never has to deal with that, cool. Like, cool. Whatever it takes. Like, I think it's important for us to, and not just my son, but like other people.
Yeah.
Just other people. So I like it hit me again too, because like I know moving into Seattle, we work a lot downtown. It's changed. And it's hard for me to accept a lot of the changes that have happened over the past.
Talking about how bad it is here.
It's hard.
You know what? I'm gonna push back on that.
Hit me.
So me and my friend,
and I meant this in the best way possible.
Yeah. Me and my family moved to Seattle in 2009, right? From my point of view, downtown Seattle has never been nice. It's just been different degrees of worse, right? Like my aunt and uncle came visit me in 2010, took them downtown, put in a parking lot, 2 dudes don't fucking heroin deal, right? My aunt like, what? So to me, if it's my experience, it's never been a nice place, It's always been like a couple years ago, walking down Marketplace, this lady has an axe, takes somebody's fucking axe.
Yeah.
Like I had my nephew come visit me next summer for 2 weeks, and he said, Uncle Jason, is this like, are they filming like Walking Dead here? Like, what the hell's going on, right? And so, when has it ever been nice? Like, when has it like, like, I don't think it's ever been nice. It's always like protests, there's stuff going on. There's like, it's like, I don't know.
No, but I agree with you. But like, I think like back home, like in Houston, like there's a Houston food bank. There's a there are designated places to go deal with issues. And I feel here it's just I was with.
But they spend so much money here, like billions of dollars, and it's like getting worse. Like, where's the money? It's like,
I don't get it.
What is like? I could be saying this wrong, but I'm sure these people like on these nonprofits getting paid 6 figures, But how do you prove you're solving the problem, right? And then too, like Seattle's known for what's the nickname? Freeattle.
Yeah.
Do people come from like Dallas, Texas to Seattle get free services? Everyone's give it to me. If that's true or not, I have no idea. I might be making that up.
No, I don't think you are, but I think just in general though, it's just like I couldn't understand. I can't condone certain things and understand the policies behind them when I see the most illicit, illegal activities and 2 police officers just walking by because they have no authority to do it.
Yeah, you can't blame them. Like they can't chase no one. Like and then if they do apprehend someone,
they get in trouble.
They'll probably get sued.
They get in trouble.
And it's like me, if I was a cop, I'd be looking. If I saw police, I'd be looking. So some people like trying to get you.
No, I get it. And then and you see all these monikers for like ACAB, which is like all cops are bastards. I'm like, listen, I don't agree with a lot of stuff, but like anything is the stupidest shit I've ever heard.
That's a good place you don't look at too, where it says, I'm paraphrasing, like all black people aren't good, all black people ain't bad. All I know so many good cops. I know so many good cops.
Are you kidding me? I know some bad cops.
Yeah.
I know some amazing cops. I know some bad brown people. I know some amazing brown people. I know some bad yellow people. I know some amazing yellow people.
Yeah.
Let's just calm down. Just calm down. And it's hard too, because it's not an entitlement, but I think that Seattle they've been robust in a lot. Like I still can't keep paying these goddamn property taxes. I still can't. I'm like, what is going on right now?
Yeah. What are you getting for your money?
And then, in Texas, when oil gets cut in half or real estate, like everything gets cut in half.
Yeah.
Here, it's just like, no, so
Stays the same.
So interesting. So it's so interesting to understand, listen, you haven't had to deal with this. You haven't dealt with this. Like, let's just all call a spade a spade. But I think the city's just at a spot too. If they're trying to attack talent, which I totally understand, they're at an impasse. They really, really are at an impasse. And I think startups are going to quickly realize they don't have to come up here if they don't want to.
Yeah.
And I think
you can easily have your company in Kent and come up here, and like do networking in Seattle,
Done. Or you can have your company in fucking Michigan or Saskatchewan or Texas.
Yep.
And which is a lot of money's going to, which I think is great. I really, really do. And I think these pockets are moving out, which needs to happen because you see Utah, Park City,
Yeah.
all these places.
What's called the Silicon Hills or something?
It's Silicon Slopes.
Silicon Slopes.
It's crazy. And they're really becoming powerhouses, as they should.
I mean,
why not?
Singular was there. I think Quato was there. Some other companies,
And so I'm glad it's getting diversified. I think it's just it's imperative, not just like a diversification, but why?
Yeah.
It's really important to be like, hey, Silicon Valley doesn't have to be that. It just doesn't, especially if you're a bunch of snobby nosed douchebags.
Yeah.
Just nobody's going to win with that.
The thing with Seattle, sometimes the Seattle government does it like, what do you think about like you said, that has a law where if like you're Amazon or Seattle and someone makes over $100,000, you have to pay tax for that person, right? Okay, I'll just move out of Seattle, right? And you lose all the tax revenue, right? And my thing is like, like you can argue, is Amazon a good or bad company? Same with Microsoft, all these different companies, but like the tax revenue that gives to Seattle has to be tremendous, right? And why fuck that up,
I literally like there was a young lady who was on the city council who was just vilifying $500 million in taxes that Amazon is paying. $500 million funding programs, funding this. Yeah, you can call them the atrocity of corporate whatever. I get that. $500 million fucking.
Yeah.
Let's at least have some
conversation or something.
Some reality. I didn't have to be conversation, just reality check. Like $500 million in taxes.
What are you doing with that money, right?
Come on. Who's it supporting?
And it's not Amazon's fault that you're probably wasting half of it on some bullshit.
Come on, man. Come on. And that's what's really tough too, is they're getting vilified to the point where it's like, here's we're not even telling you what to do with it.
Yeah.
We're not. And I get it. I mean, capitalism is capitalism, but if you're going to subscribe to capitalism, then fucking subscribe to capitalism. Just do it. Do the good and do the bad. That's how the game works. It's a game. There's got to be a loser. If you don't want to play the game, then sit on the sideline, please.
And think about how far does Seattle have? I mean, what other city has I'm sure there's somebody, we have Boeing, Amazon, Microsoft, Expedia, and we could keep going on and on. Oh, Trident Seafoods.
Yeah.
Trident Seafoods, $1 billion fish industry at a Ballard, right?
Yep.
All the manufacturers, it's like, I mean, like Seattle is not a bad place to be economically, right?
Think about the deckhands that get hired, the gig workers that get hired. I mean, a lot of people vilify so many different things for big corporate, no, just think about what they're doing. Now, I have my own issues when you say one thing and you do the exact opposite. And it's like, just don't say it. If you're going to, hey, everything's great, don't lay off half of your constituency because you don't hit some random arbitrary metric that's based on a S or a 1099 or a 10K or 5K type.
Yeah, but the thing with Seattle, last thing with Seattle, like they have to do better, right? Like,
can I take a bio break? Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's allowed.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Where do I go?
So it's like I'll show you. Hey, we'll be right back.
I know it's loud.
So Raj had to take a quick bathroom break, so we're right back. So we're on LinkedIn Live, ask any question you have of Raj. Hopefully everyone's enjoying this conversation. Hey, so real quickly while we were on Raj to come back from his bathroom break. So as many of you know, I have a startup called Kevin's HR. We do HR for companies of 400 free people. And right now I'm going through Founders Institute. So Founders Institute is like a free accelerator. For those who know what Techstars or Y Combinator is like it's like the stage before that. So we just started that program. And so this next week, I need to do 9 customer interviews to interview potential customers about the problem we're solving. So if you're listening on here and you have a company of 400 fewer people, reach out to me and so I can set up a customer interview with you. Thanks. No worries. So Roger's back.
Apologies, team. Gotta do it, man.
All right. So
This is a really good one.
you've had all 3, right?
Yeah.
So do a quick review. What do you think of each one? And I'll tell you what I think and what other people think so far.
I'm a Buffalo Trace kid.
Yeah, you can't.
So
yeah,
I gotta.
yeah. Buffalo Trace is a stand. Like Buffalo Trace been around since 1773. Joe Rogan endorses it, So, Buffalo Trace is like to me a high standard.
I gotta ask you about him then. I like the bourbon whiskey.
This one?
Yeah.
So it's crazy. Like I think 10 people have had it. 8 have liked it. No, 9 have liked it. I'm the only one who doesn't like it.
Really?
I don't like it.
Why?
I don't know. Like to me, it's like I don't know, something like I want to say too charcoaly or this. I just don't like it.
Are you a bourbon kid or are you like a Scotch with like
bourbon?
Okay.
Yeah.
A good. He just loves that really, really peaty, mossy.
Yeah.
Just like Scott. I'm
like I like Buffalo Trace, like Bullet.
I do just Jack.
Jack. Yeah.
That's just.
You said you were raised on Jack. Yeah.
I sweat it out, man. I sweat it out.
Yeah. Everyone loves this. Like Levi, man, he loved this.
Levi, dude.
Yeah. So we drank this. Like we did on the rooftop last week. He loved this.
He's a beautiful human.
Yeah,
he's such
nice.
a good kid.
Yeah, he's so nice.
He's such a good kid. You doing okay with F5?
Yeah.
You liking it?
So far, yeah.
If
So
you
let's review.
Oh, sorry.
This one.
I really like it.
Yeah,
I really like it.
I like it too. Yeah.
I really like it.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have to say but I really like the Blade and Bow.
I do too.
It's no bite either.
Yeah.
And I usually do rocks. It's good.
Yeah. I like Blade. I like that too. I like a lot.
What's your favorite? Like not these, but just in general.
Oh man. Yeah, such a great question. A question I grew up on Crown Royal,
Okay.
It's always like top of my heart. I haven't got it for a while though, Thing with Crown, they're off the board, like, I like the classic Crowns.
Yep.
And then man, I love Crown Vanilla.
They really like
But then
crazy.
But some of this crap a Crown Maple. I tried it one time, like, where's my fucking pancakes at,
I'm
right?
good,
This is horrible.
The Jack Daniels honey, I was like, don't do that. Just don't do it.
Like I hate Crown Apple,
Have you tried some of the like flavor, like the? Why am I brain farting here? Screwball. So it's peanut butter whiskey.
Never tried that.
Ooh, it's sugary. And then I really got into like the Japanese whiskeys that are whiskey.
Oh man, what's that one I like? I can't think of it. It's
the Beaky's a really good one.
man, I can't think of it. There's a Japanese whiskey I really love. I think
it's in those bamboo casks, but they still distill it the right way.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. I mean, bourbon, like, so many bourbons out there, But I had, in fact, me and Ricardo Perez drank some Blanton's like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Which one? Oh,
oh man, so good, right?
I had a really good type of Four Roses the other day, and I was like, "Where the fuck did Four Roses come from?"
Oh,
like a really good
so
one.
a couple weeks ago, bourbon. I bought like 10, 12 bottles of bourbon, right? So I have like bourbon everywhere. Like I have Four Roses. I don't like it.
I'll give you that.
I don't like Four Roses.
I'll give you that, dude.
I like Four Roses.
Special one of Four Roses. I was like, where did this come from? I actually didn't.
But then everyone said he should have Four Roses small batch. I got the regular Four Roses.
So it was just Four Roses small batch.
Yeah,
it's a game changer.
Yeah,
it really was. I was like, all right, I see you. I'm a Buffalo Trace kid.
Yeah,
I really am a Buffalo Trace kid.
Like that Bullet. I like Basil Hayden.
Oh yeah.
And even those people say it's like overpriced, this, but whatever.
Basil Hayden's great. I started getting into some of the Irish whiskeys too.
I could never get into those for some reason.
What was the one that I just had? It was pretty good though. He did a really good job with it. But I told you that Wyoming whiskey. And then there's a Skagit one, that mystery distillery. It's just, I think it needs another year or two on it.
Have you tried? I'm sure you tried the Woodinville whiskey. I like that.
So we did it like a few years ago, and it was the wrong batch. It was a bad batch. It was really, really, really early. And
yeah,
it was really, really bad. Had a lot of bite to it.
How about I think it's called High End.
Yeah,
the big bottles.
There's a big bottle,
and it's from Utah, right?
From Utah.
Like Mormons get down like that. I didn't know that,
dude. It's so weird. There's, you find these pockets that come out of nowhere.
Yeah,
But I think Utah's really coming into something else.
Mhm.
I really, really think it is. They're getting a startup center. They're getting a lot of money. But
People from California moving there, you
a
know.
ton of people
But it's like
wanna
everyone
move.
from California is moving everywhere, right?
You can have the trials. You can have the bullshit wherever you go. I get it. You're gonna have the bullshit wherever you go. Be happy in your own skin.
Yeah.
I think for us when we came up here, the water's really nice. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a water baby. My son's a
Yeah, I
water
love
baby.
water.
Yeah, we get calm with that. So it's been really good. What's really sad, and I hope founders and startups know this, like know who you are as a person. I didn't realize how important it was for me to be around water.
Yeah.
My cognitive fruition and my mental clarity was totally different from my geographics. And I hate to say that out loud because I almost put that as a negative for
Yeah,
myself.
water is just, to me, it's like you just a calming effect, right? Just for
is.
yourself for peace, you know, hear the waves, whatever, you just see it, you know.
But I didn't want to admit how important it was because we don't want to admit, like, hey, we have a vulnerability that this is really helping.
I mean, there's a reason where I think like 75% of the water is like within 2 miles of water, right?
That's it, dude. That is really it. If you think about that, like it kind of like lends itself to all the understanding. So I think, you know, when we came up here, it's been a total transition. It's been really, really good. I think I had a real hard problem with myself moving into, you know, I mean, I don't know if you've had any failures, but moving from failure into something where you're better than what you were in the past is hard. I had a really, really big black mark, and it kind of just became who I was. And it kind of marked me for a long time to the point where I just was like, shit, like I need to get off of that. And we might all have some failures, might have some startups that don't work, but you know, there's no finality. There really isn't.
How long you been in the Seattle area?
4 years.
4 years. Like I should have Seattle a lot, you know, the weather, the people, you know, kind of rude, but what we're doing, like, what better place to be at in Seattle, right?
Yeah. No.
I mean, what better place to be at, you know, just the stuff going on here. I mean, and one thing, like people tell me, oh, the rain, like the rain is not that bad. Like I tell people all the time, like, like if you're this, it might rain an inch in 1 hour, right?
Yeah.
Here's gonna take a week to rain an inch, right?
Yeah.
The thing is always gray.
Yeah.
It's like this dome of grayness, and like
I'm okay with it because I went from like hot to hot and humid in Louisiana.
Yeah,
So
I think it was like a 107 in San Antonio the other day.
I'm good. I'll pass on that in a long way. But I mean, how's the family? Like, how long has the family been enjoying it as, like, you know, big picture stuff? Sorry about that.
Yeah, my wife loves it here. She loves the weather. Yeah.
So I think, well, for us, it was more like, you know, in Texas, it was more, especially when we went to Houston, it was more like, and that's great. And we were in the energy side, so it was conducive to our whatever. When I started my hedge fund, everyone was like, you got to go to New York or California. I was like, no, I want to stay home. They're like, cool, you put you down on the energy side. I'm like, no, I'm not. They're like, okay. I've just never subscribed to, like, you don't have to move. I don't know. I don't feel like you have to be beholden to anything to be who you are as a person. You just don't. If you're a fucking Texan at heart and you're in Seattle, cool, be a Texan.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's okay. That's who you are as a person. And you're going to execute better as you true self than whatever.
And my thing's always been like, I was military moving around. Doesn't matter where you're at. It could be like, you know, the worst place in the world. You mean like Mojave Desert. You have a few good friends, some money, you know,
you're good.
You're good, right? Oh, and of course, you know, the biggest thing, like, you know, we also up in the Army. Oh, it's crazy, right? Like, let's say like Fort Drum, like middle of the woods, know where you want to be, right? And then you have, like, we'll say Fort Jackson, South Carolina, like Columbia, Capital City, Carolina, right? So everyone I know that with the Fort Drum or Fort Polk, that had great bosses, they loved it, right?
Yep.
People in South Carolina have bad bosses, they hate it, right?
So
it all comes down to your boss, I think, you know.
That's life.
Yep.
That's life. But again, it's not just boss. It's belonging. It's, you know, you manage them up, not out. You empower them up, not out. You give them responsibility. You trust but verify. I think any company that builds it that way is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
It really, really is. You might have some trials and tribulations, but the long game is going to end up being there. When people feel like they belong to something, they stick to whatever that is. They forego paychecks. They make sure, like, hey, Jason knows what's up. He knows that I know that he cares about me and he loves me. Like, let me make sure that he knows that I love him back.
Yeah.
It's important.
Like talking about Dan Price, you know, a lot of people like, you know, people like no shit on him when he did $70,000 a year, where they did little shit. But like, even just people said, hey, times are bad. I need you to work for me for free for 1 month. 95% would say yes.
Yes.
Other
dude.
5% say we want to, but I can't do it, right? Because it's, this is going on, it's going on, right?
And I respect that.
Yeah.
I like, hey, I respect that to him. And he had a 5x revenue after that.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That's and it's not a case study.
It's only one company. Even think about it, like anything. It is Seattle, like could have done the same thing in like Las Vegas or Denver or who knows, right? I mean,
but I think that's a great case study because then that comes to the leadership versus geographics, and I think that's really, really important. A lot of people move around for blah blah blah, and I think I hate to say it, like I continue to lean into the human element to everything that comes.
I mean, because Dan Price, he's pretty. I've seen him speak. He's pretty personable. Like a few years ago, I helped put him on a Seattle Tech conference, right? Somewhere. Okay. He was one of the guest speakers, right? Talked to everyone, took pictures, right? Very charismatic, very out.
Yeah.
Would they do the same thing? I know you give me $70,000, but you're Sheldon Cooper. I'm not doing this for you, right? So how much is like 70,000 versus how much is like his people skills, right?
100%. 100%. I think you kind of nailed it, but that's him as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
I think leadership changes the whole dynamic. It really does. And that's a huge segue that most people don't understand, that the mercenaries versus the missionaries. Like there's going to be a lot of mercenaries in these games. The reality of the situation is the mercenaries are going to be overshadowed by the missionaries, because the missionaries will stick through it through thin and thin, and they see the vision, they see the stuff. And I think that a lot of startups don't understand, like you need to keep your missionaries as many as you can and the mercenaries as few and far between. There's 100% when you get to that point of scale, but I think in the beginning, quote unquote startup, just a bunch of missionaries.
Yeah,
which is hard.
That reminds me of like a few years ago, I was to go like a lot of networking events, right? The startup stuff. And I was talking to, she did customer service for the Gravity, and we're talking like it's right after the 70,000. And she's told me, Jason, I'll be honest with you, even before the pay raise, I would never quit Gravity.
See, like
she said, even before 70,000, I would never quit Gravity. This like we know his heart. He takes care of us like this. Yeah.
I had a post actually on LinkedIn about ClickUp, and it was very, very apropos and very frustrating because everybody got this email on Customer Appreciation Day. And the Customer Appreciation Day email said, "Hey, Nathan, thank you so much." I was like, and like, this was, I'm not going to lie, Jay, this was like, I was having a personal day. It was a personal day of just low anger. And I was like, I'm just like, not fucking Nathan. My name isn't fucking Nathan. It's Raja. I'm a brown. And I posted it, and ClickUp responded. Zeb Effens, which is the founder of ClickUp, responded.
So basically caught you the wrong moment.
But every single one of them was like, "Hey, we are so sorry. We're so sorry. We fucked up." But they came to me personally, and they did it intimately. And over the past 2 years, like I've seen them operate, and I'm wholeheartedly a fan. And I said, "Hey, I made a post. You guys responded. I 100% know it was an algorithmic fuck up. Love you. Thank you for saying." Like, it was the smallest thing to me, but they all were like, and whatever. If this helps, like, I had 25,000 comments on that. It's my biggest post yet. Not like I cared, but it was like, "Hey, ClickUp, you fucked up."
Yeah.
And it got to me today, and they immediately came in.
Most companies don't do that.
They don't. Billion-dollar companies don't do that. They don't do that. And they all like responded to me directly. I was like, "Do you get it, people? Like, this is how it works."
Yeah.
Even at the smallest microcosm of a level, it's a huge, huge, huge factor. And that escapes a lot of people right now. And I hope it comes back full circle. Probably won't, but I hope it.
So change subjects. Talk about the importance of data.
Oh, I'm a data slut. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a data slut. I just am. I think it's so interesting. Attribution and all that stuff. I think data it's boring and minutia, but it's so important. It's so important when you start understanding the flywheel and the scalability and where it all comes from and attributions and data analytics. And you don't have to be a data scientist at heart, but you have to understand, hey, this is working, this isn't working. We need to throw a little bit more behind this one. We need to put this one on the side. It's again, it's a little bit more granular and minutia, not as sexy, but it's really, really, really important that most people understand that data is the most important thing that we have right now. And you can monetize data. You do whatever you want with that in a nefarious way or in a good way. And I think that people who do it in the good way will continue to have repeat business. And I think the people who do it in a nefarious way will be like, we have to finish out these few dollars that we can get. And it's been happening right now.
So talk about this. Like, I think a lot of people, they get data confused, right? A lot of people are like, here's 1,000 reams of data and they throw it at you, right? Which is fucking useless, right?
Yep.
How do you go from like straight data to like learning the story behind the data? Cause like, what's the saying? Like, is like, so you said, I say 20%, right? Well, 20.
You have to, yeah, that's really hard. You have to, again, I'll go back to knowing what a win is to most people when it comes to data. For me, data, whatever you want to call it, I think it's more talking about the user. And I have my idea about what the data is the actual attribution to what I want versus what the uptake is. And I think people don't understand that bridge and that chasm is massive. And data is the only thing that bridges the chasm between what you think, your hypothesis and your scientific method, and what your constituency actually wants. So here's what I think of X, Y, and Z, and has 0% efficacy with my end user. This data is telling me, hey, this bridge is wrong. And I think data is the one, it's really sad. It's the equalizer. It's my baby's so cute. Well, the data says it's not. Nobody gives a shit. And I'm like, but I want my baby to be cute. Yeah, no. We want your baby to be cute too. It's not going to work. So, okay, my baby is funny. Okay, yeah, your baby's funny. Yeah, look, the data saying it's funny. Now let's make a funny data company. So I think data is one of the most important things because it's unequivocally unbiased. And when you take your emotions are the biggest. It's funny too. They give those 4 caveats to the startups of hey, startups don't succeed because they run out of cash and have product market fit. No. They do it because ego and emotions get in the way. I think the number one crusher of startups, even if you've raised or whatever, is the emotional quotient that gets everybody a little bit.
I know so many founders who don't ask for help.
Are you kidding me?
Don't ask for help. And they know they need help. They know who to ask for. Pride is a motherfucker. Pride, ego is a motherfucker.
I've yet to see a solo founder just fucking rock. Because that echo chamber is brutal. The echo chamber is brutal, and it's a joke, yet it's not. But my panacea and like my best red team is my old lady, because she's like, you're stupid. I'm like, yes, ma'am, I am. But like, why? But why? In a good way. In a good way. Like, hey, help me poke holes, because she wants me to succeed in the right way. And I think I'll be really honest. A lot of founders, myself included, because I had a little bit of success. I had a little bit of success. So I know my next one's going to be, I never fucking touched tech in my life. How am I going to assume that my SaaS tech is going to be better than anybody's? But they don't want to give up. They don't want to delegate. They don't want to, So it's like, hold on, this person isn't good enough to get equity in my company or be part of my baby. Of course. And so I think the data is one of those things that keeps it. It's an equalizer and a normalizer, because it really is like, actually, no, these 6 months of traction that you thought on your sprint didn't really work. Do you want to listen to what we're saying and then move the next iteration, or do you want to continue with this head bashing against the wall?
I think most founders also mess up in like, you always see like, you're a founder, you're gonna bring co-founders, right? And let's say you're like, extrovert and technical, operational. So you're bringing 2 other white guys, operational, technical.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me? Right?
Yep.
No, like me, like I know, like I'm an introvert. I have no creativity at all. So I like to bring in creative people. It's good balance to me.
But you were just honest with yourself. That's the real, that's the only catalyst that gets you there.
Yeah.
And this is so Mary Kay, she says it in jest. My business partner, we work so fucking well together, because she calls me Tony Stark and she's Pepper Potts. Because I'm off the fucking rails. And she keeps the processes in place, and she keeps it going forward. And ideas are great if you can't execute this.
But like you said, you got to be authentic to yourself sometimes. Like, you be true to yourself, right? Like, what's the best? And I think people too, like, they mess up when they become a startup founder. Like, what's the best for me? No, what's the best for your company? What's going to move your company forward, right?
And I had a kid and I see him just pontificating and all over the place and posting and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, just shut the fuck up, man. Just shut up. Just shut up. I know you want to raise. And that's, I think for me, it's really hard to buy into it then because it's just a lot of just frenetic bullshit. It's like, hey, this is what's going on. And so we're this and this. And like, no, it's a great idea. It's working for a little bit. Stop talking, continue to validate. It's too early in this. And that's why I think I project some of my own inadequacies into what I see. It's because it's like, I know what I did. I know how to work. And then I have to understand like, hey, I see that. I see that exact same transcript going forward. How do you have that conversation? Like you said, especially on the FI, like imagine it's the FI side. It's like, hey, Jason, I love what you guys are doing, but the reality situation is, and I told you, I have this exactly right now. There's somebody who's going through FI and they have this idea and they want to raise. I'm like, great, but if you raise and do this, what are you going to do next? And there's no next step.
And if you raise, even that person on your board, you got to spend time with them. You got to manage them, like
bad.
You gotta, like, but then again, like it's what's the chicken eat egg thing, right? It's like,
and I think a lot of people have a misconception about this chicken versus the egg of, hey, I have to raise to do this because they've been told so many different ways. That's the only way to do it.
Especially a non-tech founder. If you're not a tech founder, you really can't build up yourself.
So
you got to raise the money and like but then you might get ripped off. Like me, we're talking about this later, but I've been with so many tech people, right? It's just been a challenge, right? Some people have stolen money from me. Some people have flaked on me. I got a great person now, my co-founder, but it's like, if you're not a tech founder, like, do you outsource? It's like.
So I'm gonna have to do a shameless plug here.
Okay,
if that's allowed.
Yes.
My shameless plug. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do a shameless plug here. My shameless plug is for the Zig. So I met a gentleman, Christopher Chaleche, through an acquaintance. He's a Microsoft, Goldman, brilliant human being. And I begged this guy to help me. I said, hey, I want an app. Here's this SOW. Here's your scope. Let's go. He goes, yep, great. No. Hey, I talked to my friend. He said you're like one of the best developer groups that we have. He's like, yeah. No. Here's money. I have an idea. Please take it. No. What the fuck, dude? He wouldn't.
That's so rare.
He wouldn't do it.
Some people just take your money and then fuck it up.
He wouldn't do it. He continued to push back. I was like, hey, man, like, listen, Chris, I have an idea. I'd really like you to build this MVP for me. Here are the funds. He's like, yeah, no, this is great. Go find somebody else. I was like,
so many tech people just take your money, have no idea what they're doing.
Okay, like, did I insult you? He's like, no. He's like, what are you doing here? I was like, what are you talking about? It's like, what are you doing here? I was like, I don't know. I was like, yeah, you're linking them to, a different native environment, which is leakage. Who cares? He's like, they're leaving your platform. I was like, okay. He's like, and that's tech debt. So you're going to support tech debt that's not even on your native platform for somebody else's platform. I was like, huh? What? Like, you're saying all these words I don't get. He's like, no, I know you don't. He's like, your app is great. I love it. It'll be mothballed on his shelf if I do it. I was like, fuck you. But what? He's like, no. Think about this. 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 I was like, I re-engineered the whole thing. I re-engineered the whole thing. And then he finally was like, okay, let's crawl and then we'll walk and then we'll run. I haven't left him since.
Nice.
I haven't left him since.
So talk about this. So you're non-tech, right? So I talk about this on podcasts a lot, right? So let's suppose, how do you deal with this, right? So let's suppose
this is a good one because it was awesome.
This is going. So let's suppose you ask John Bob, go open the door. John Bob gets up, opens the door. You ask John Bob, the tech guy, you got to tell John Bob, the tech guy, stand up at 20-degree angle, use 10% thrust. Is that like detailed, right? How do you work through that? Because in your mind, you have to understand this, right? How do you not get this right? But like you can only say 1 through 10. You got to say 1A, 1B, 1C. And it's like, you got to break down the next ass. And like, as a founder, like, you ain't got time for that crap, but then you have to make time, right? And how do you personally deal with that? With you and your tech people?
I'll be really honest. I lucked out. My tech people know what to do.
You're so fucking lucky.
No, I am so, hey, I'm so lucky. I went through Top Tall. I went through 47.
Top Tops was like one of the best of best, right?
I went through 47 of those motherfuckers. And every single one, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. And when they said, yeah, I can do it, I was like, the first person I talked to who was a referral from a friend said, there's no way I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I immediately had my litmus test.
So many tech people, their first reaction is, I can do it. Can you really?
Brother, he was, I was mad at him. I was mad at him. I was like, hey, man, woman, whatever. Hey, person, the fuck, here's my money. It's good money. Like, take it. Like, you get my idea. He's like, yeah, that's great. Nope. He didn't want to put his name on something he knew wouldn't work. That's pride. That's understanding. That's like, it was really, really cool. And now it's not funny that I'm like, he has 3 other amazing groups going forward, and I'm like over here trying to invest in his company who won't take it. He's a brilliant human being who does right by people in the right way. It delivers an amazing product, and I really, really lucked out. But I lucked out in the fact that I had no understanding of what I was doing. I had no understanding of consequences. I had no understanding of anything. I was like, hey, I'm just going to try this out. And he was like, yeah, great. And I was lucky enough that
Hey, Raj, move to some.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough that I fell into a group that just wanted to make good products.
You play college football, right?
Yeah.
Talk about the experience. Like what like all that kind of stuff.
Oh man.
Good experience, bad experience.
Best experience of my life, to be really, really honest. And I think that's where I kind of got my personality of team and so they call me Speed Bump. I was the Speed Bump. I played Division I college football, and at that point, being 5'0", 100 pounds, you're a speed bump.
What position you play?
I played DB and special teams.
Okay.
And I was.
I mean, it's crazy. Like you're a pretty big ass motherfucking dude, right?
No, I was a fucking round.
I mean, you're pretty fucking big fucking dude, like to me. Like so, if you're like the shrimp, like goddamn, how big these other jokers are.
I love you. I was 32 pounds heavier when I played. I was 32 pounds heavier, and I was angry, and I fucking didn't care about my body. And I was playing with 7 foot 400-pound black guys who could go coast to coast in 7 seconds. I was like, fucking shit. And you get humbled quick. You find out who you are as a person, and then you learn how to play smart.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I've always been the underdog, and I've always succeeded in the fact that like I didn't sit in this victimhood. Mm-hmm. If you don't sit in victimhood, and then more importantly, I played with no recourse. So the tattoos and the knuckles say ride fast. And it doesn't come from anything outside of the bicycle. It literally, like my whole life is kind of the metaphor of a bicycle. When you're going like super slow and you're maybe going less than 1 mile an hour, this thing is wobbly. You're like, oh God, oh, you're barely pedaling, you're about to fall over. But if you're literally just going and you're one with the bike and it's good speed, you can put your arms out, you can put your hands out, you can relax. She wants to go fast. Don't play scared in life. Don't do any of that. You're going to get hurt. So when ride fast is much more like just play 110% in life. If you get hurt, you'll get hurt at 110%, but you'll get hurt 10 times more at 70 or 50% because you're thinking and you're like, oh, I'm not what
analyzing stuff, what
that.
This, what
analysis,
that,
analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
It's real. It's 100%
real.
Yeah, it is. And so if you can just lean into it and just run fast, it works well. And so college ball was about that. I was the smallest of the smallest of the small, but I didn't think, and I played at 115 miles.
But you had a scholarship, right?
Yeah. I walked on and got a scholarship.
Oh,
so
nice.
So they recruited me for a bit. I said, cool, you do this. The first 4 weeks, got a full ride. And that was because I didn't think, I just played hard. I played really hard. They gave me in a 5th year, so I tacked on that master's. They paid for that. Got another one. So it's you leverage what you can do. You leverage what you can do, and then you just run with it.
Do you have any moment in college football like you really did something good, like made a great tackle or like a shining moment, so to speak?
So my shining light, and he was University of Texas. He played in the NFL. His name was Roy Williams. He's a wide receiver.
I know him. He's from my hometown, Odessa, Texas.
Yo, he's from Odessa, Texas.
Yep,
I
Roy
laid
Williams.
his ass out.
So did you?
I took his mouth guard over here, his helmet over there.
Roy Williams. I know.
I laid his ass out at 6'11", and I just laid him out. And everyone was like, "Yo, you just laid out Roy Williams." Like, I just laid out Roy Williams.
Yeah, Roy Williams. Yeah, enough probably not. Like he does some good things. Like Roy Williams, him back home in Odessa, Texas. Like he like pays for everything. Boys Club. He does so many good things. Like there's great people. Like he takes a lot of care of a lot of people in Odessa, Texas.
Funny enough, I'll even go one step further. Like I'd say it was Roy Williams, but I actually have a Super Bowl ring because I was with the Saints in 2005 when we went to Miami.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh shit!
But my so Jeremy Shockey, Jaron Sharper, there's my peoples, but Drew Brees. But my thing was laying Roy Williams out and him being blindsided. When I saw his mouthpiece fly, I was like, yeah. And I just retired and cleats. I'm done.
That's your moment.
That was it. Nobody even saw it. It was on a kickoff return. I was like, I laid his ass out. And it was like, what are you talking about? Like, nothing. Don't worry about it. But I put him down. I put the NFL Hall of Famer down.
Nice.
And nobody will ever know it but me.
Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
That's what matters. Yeah. That's all that matters. And you know what? It's a great story you can tell your grandkids.
That's it, man. That's it.
Great.
And if you can talk to yourself, I think that was a big thing for me too. And sometimes I can't. I try and talk to myself in the mirror, but I'll be honest, Jay. Like sometimes I look at myself and I'm like, fuck, man, like who has neck tattoos? I'll be honest. Like sometimes I'm like, damn, dude, like you're doing this, you're doing this.
So how long you had your neck tattoos?
Too long. Just stupid amounts. Just stupid shit.
Like a long time ago.
No, I mean not like long, but who, like for me, I personally, I had to be real with myself. Like, man, I it's neck tattoos.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
Like I have tattoos on my ears, but I used to always say all this for a long time. I would say, like, if you have a neck tattoo, you only get a neck tattoo if you're Allen Iverson or Michael Vick, or like Snoop Dogg. Like get a neck tattoo if you have fuck you money.
And that's what I didn't at that point. And I got there and I was just like, why am I doing this? But I think it was more of an anger towards the. I think it was just more of an anger, just more of a fuck you to everything.
Yeah,
it was. And when most people know when you start at Goldman, and on a Friday they give you a pitch that's ready for a Monday, and you sleep in the cot in the back, and you're doing your DCF modeling, and these guys come in on a Monday morning and sign their name on it and just walk out, and you're just like, you just don't want to continue to participate and add to that.
And people don't realize the people talking, you make all this big money working for Wall Street, blah blah. There's a fucking price, right?
Oh my God.
I mean, people don't see the price. They like one thing to like people don't realize. If you want to be successful, make big money, you're probably not gonna do it working 9 to 5, right? I mean, you got to sacrifice, and what's that sacrifice like? It's like, you want to work 8 hours a week for Goldman Sachs, making whatever you make, and miss on your family.
Yep.
Everything has a price,
And I think that's what's really interesting is like I found that at a later stage, but when I ran my own hedge fund, I remember we even talked about my brother and the Doogie Howser of himself. He his graduation, I skipped his graduation because I was in the hotel on the computer trading. I drove. We were all in St. Louis, and I was the only one still like not understanding because I was in my zone, in my head. And this dude worked 4 years. 4 years. I wasted 4 years of his accomplishments for 4 hours in a hotel.
Have you made that right yet?
No.
You make that right, man.
Hey, I haven't.
Yeah, you need to do something. I don't know what it is, but you need to make that right.
Hey, Jay, I think you hit on something. I haven't made it right yet. I haven't made a lot of things right yet. Yeah. Because I also kind of fell in this paradigm of like, yeah, no, fuck you. This is me against the world. And I haven't made a lot of things right, which continues to stress relationships.
Yeah.
And why?
I tell you, when you get my age, you spend a lot of time trying to make things right,
And fuck that. I love you. I don't want to get to your age to start making things right.
Yeah.
It's not worth it. I should have made them wrong in the beginning.
Yeah.
I know. No, but this is kind of the whole point of the startup and whatnot. It's like, oh man, like about why? So you can negate and not pay attention. And it's funny too. It's like, so what's the end game? Oh, I want to have autonomy or flexibility to what? Continue to not be happy. So it's like, it's a really interesting paradigm. I mean, are you going down that path you want?
Yeah. So
are you?
I think I am.
Yeah.
I think I am. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Here's one for you. Here's a different story. So there's a fisherman in, like, we'll say Italy, right? Like every day who go fishing by, go by, catch 4 or 5 fish, sell on the market, right? So this capitalist came to, hey, this fish is great. You're doing a great job. How about if I give you some money, you buy more boats,
Yeah.
and do more fishing, blah blah blah. In 20 years, you can retire, have a great life. I have a great life now.
Yeah.
Like, why? I have a great life now. I work for a few hours, buy some fish, sell it, pay my bills. I have a great life now. Why do all those fucking stress?
But answer that question yourself. What makes it not? Who makes it not? What idea makes it not? Do you have to have more than those fish? Does somebody say, "Oh, you don't have more than those fish. You're not better than me. You're not as good as me."
Mhm.
That's why I find it so interesting. When my parents get spit on or whatever it is, to the point where they're like, "Okay, you spit on me, but I'm gonna make sure now you'll never spit on me again because I have all these things." People aren't gonna spit on you because you have things, or they're just gonna spit on you because they just don't like you.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard. There's a perfect and the exactly metaphor of a person who bought like an island for $10,000, and somebody was like, "Hey, I'll offer you 50 million for it," and he was like, "Why?" It's like, "I don't need money because I'm happy on my paradise in this island." Like,
Yeah.
I think once we understand who we are,
You have
and
to learn to be content.
and
A
that's
lot of people can't learn to be content.
why not?
I mean, part of it's like human nature, part of it's competitiveness. Like me, like me, my whole life. Let's suppose I did 10 things, right? 9 things, like fucking someone said, like, suppose you're my boss, right?
Yep.
I did 10 things. Jason, needing 9 things, best of the best, the greatest ever. He made so much money. The 10th thing is pretty good, but it could be better. I would destroy myself on the 10th thing.
Why? Who told you that you have to do 10 out of 10 instead of 9 out of 10? Was there anybody that or anything that has put that in you?
Myself.
Okay.
Myself.
No, okay. That's
Myself.
great.
Myself.
I hate to say that's great, but like
Myself.
it's not an exigent circumstances, but
Yeah.
like you're not good enough. You have to do that 10th thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have that exigent circumstance being like, you need to do that 10th thing. Hey, you got a 98 out of 100. Where's the other 2 points?
Yeah.
How about those 98 fucking points?
Yeah.
No. But if you were like, hey, self-induced, I want those 2 extra points, great.
Yeah.
I think it's that exigent circumstance that makes it harder.
I mean, competitiveness is good to a degree, right?
Yeah. It is, but everything in life is going to be competitive. And and I think what sucks too is a lot of people don't understand. Like I'm the best in the world. It's just not reality. There's always somebody bigger, better, stronger, and faster.
I tell people all the time, like I mention a lot of people, I tell them all the time, no matter how hard you work, how talented you are, someone's working harder and way more talented than you.
So then at what point are you happy with what you can do?
Yeah.
And then it's like
they tell all the time, like, the sports commercials. I wake up at 5 in the morning to work out.
Yeah.
I wake up at 3 in the morning to work out.
Like, I'm at 2:45 in the morning workout. I'm at 2:44 in the morning. Yeah, okay.
Like, okay. First of all, you gotta have some kind of life, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully you have some kind of social skills. You meet people, have a girlfriend, boyfriend, you have to live your life, right? I mean, like.
But most people, yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, it's living the life on somebody else's dime. And to me, it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Like, I don't need to wake up at 3 if somebody's waking up at 4 just to say I woke up at 3 because they're waking up.
And that's why I love the Generation Z, right? They don't give a fuck. They do their thing, like, and people call them lazy and like not competitive, but
say the exact opposite. There are some of those kids who really, really know. So I totally, again, I think if you mentioned this before, like, I totally respect the corporate lifestyle. 20 years at Boeing, 30 years at Boeing, 40 years at Boeing, Amazon.
I mean, think about it, it's a perfect life. You work 9 to 5 or 20 for Boeing. 9 to 5, get up for 5, go home, eat dinner, watch TV.
Totally respect that.
Fucking cut the fuck off.
I totally respect that. Leave work at work.
Yep.
I really do. Some could call that lazy.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll just be really, it's not like, it's, oh, fuck.
I mean, 40 hours, 7 days a week has 160 hours. So you only contributing to society 40 hours out of 168.
And so I think at some point it's like, hey, listen, at 8 p.m. I want to log on till 11 p.m. because I'm a Gen Z. If this, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a really interesting period that the corporate culture could actually be not lethargic, but it's like, hey, we're stuck to this paradigm of I leave work at home,
Yeah.
which I love. I do. And I'll push a rebuttal of I think it's really hard that this paradigm shift from societal norms to whatever is going right now is the industrial revolution, farming, like sons, daughters, whatever. They used to go with their parents. They used to go milk the cows. They used to be next to their hip. And now it's like, no, you're going to go out and do your own thing. And when that paradigm shifted, everything shifted. Now it's more like corporate culture and this and that. You have to go and do things. But I think we've moved from the family homestead to the work homestead, and we have to embrace the repercussions of that. If we're going to idolize that and we're going to push that as the major norm moving forward, and which then lends itself to wealth or whatever it is, it's really important to understand there's an opportunity cost. There 100% is an opportunity cost. Your kids, your family, that the family unit might be bifurcated and stressed. And if you want to accept one side of normality, you have to accept the other side. If you expect there's a God, you have to expect there's a devil.
Yeah.
Like that, I just feel like that's just normal. And right now, people want to fight both sides of the stigma. Like, no, you can go out and you don't have to be this or this or this, but you have to stick to this. I'm like, that's two different philosophies. So we have to understand why there's a disconnect. And if you're upset about it, why you're upset about it.
Yeah. And another thing too, like you're talking about, it's like, it's so complicated, right? So I got a brain fart. Let me ask you another question.
You're good.
So talk about Lacera.
I'm very happy.
So you're doing Lacera on top of your own startup, right?
It's kind of together. So Lacera is a prop tech company founded by Barrett Newberry about 5 years ago. Brilliant human being. So I did a direct consumer health and wellness, just health and wellness like platform, and it's worked really well. That was a Thrv Health, and it continues to get bigger and bigger. And what I did was I ended up doing digital health, but I'm working with apartment complexes. So we had MSAs, which was master service agreements, about 17 different apartment complexes here in Seattle alone. And they're like, listen, we love what you're doing. But I mean, Jason, I was kissing babies and licking dirt. I was going to every single place. Yep. That's what you have to do as a startup. I walked into a static book of business, which it could be apartment complexes, many of them here in Pioneer Square downtown. And we were just talking to agents and hey, this is what we're doing. And they love what we're doing. I met with Barrett, and Barrett goes, Raj, I love what you're doing, but you're flipping over every single rock in the river. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm doing. He's like, and that's great. He's like, why don't you come to the mouth of the river? And he built out a prop tech system that, the marketplace, which is I'm one spoke in this giant hub of a wheel. Those old, you're a 100 spoke kid from Corpus Christi or in Texas. We did a 13 rim, 100 spoke rim. Thrv was one spoke of what he's building. So Lacera is building out a platform, a prop tech platform that's fighting Appfolio, fighting Yardi, and we're taking people right and left. And what I really appreciate about Lacera is I hate buzzwords and like democratize. It's allowing the smaller person to get in and play the game. If the big boys want to play the game and think that they're better than everybody else, we're going to show them the other way. And it's worked out really, really well. It's a prop tech company that's open source, open platform. It's almost like your Android. It's like your iPhone, and all of your apps are on the prop tech side. So if you have any services, any maintenance requests, and it's not, you don't have to pay for it. He has built out something that I want to be a mercenary. I mean, I want to be a missionary, not a mercenary. I was close. I want to be a missionary, not a mercenary. I don't want to just get paid to do well. I want to do the right thing. And this is the only group that I've actually found that the incentives align. And so Lacera has been kind of instrumental in me actually stopping my fundraising for my own company and moving towards understanding a bigger marketplace and a bigger opportunity, to be honest. So our health and wellness company that we built is kind of just one small cog in this giant wheel.
Let's talk about this. Talk about like founders, I like to say, if you're a founder, you're gonna get your teeth kicked in every day. You're gonna nick down every day. Talk about the importance of resiliency as a founder.
Yeah. I think all founders need to know things are good until they're not. Things are good until they're not.
The Mike Tyson rule, right?
Yep. Now I had and he's
everyone's idea is great until you put in the market.
Exactly. And he's my Gus D'Amato. He's in, and Barrett's like, listen, he's tried and true. I think resiliency comes from not yourself, it comes from your team, and not bullshit, not rah rah, sis boom bah, I love you, everything's good. It's not. It's not. If you call a spade, at some point, listen, we need to cut off this, we need to fire this person. This is reality. Resiliency is tough. Resiliency is tough because there's a blinding factor. I had a really, really, really good friend, and I love him unconditionally. And he's like, I'm stubborn. I was like, yeah, I know, Jay, you're stubborn as. He's like, yep, I've been stubborn for 14 years.
It's a long time to be stubborn.
Fuck that noise, dude. Fuck. I hope somebody would be like, hey, man, that's 14 years of stubbornness. You need to stop. You need to stop it. And I'm very lucky that I've met with some founders and some brilliant human beings that are being like, no, listen, here's resilience. Here's the litmus test and the actual end of resilience. Because resilience is great. And there's two adages, companies go under when you run out of money, and startups go under when you quit.
Yeah.
And
I say all the time, you only fail as an entrepreneur if you quit.
that's it. And I respect that. I also think understanding the financial acumen of some people being like, listen, we've scaled to this, we scaled to this. I had a business, a guy not too long ago, and he built some really, really good groups. And he built out some brick and mortar studios on the wellness side to a threshold of like, hey, it had a really good marketing. Hey, 10x in 10 years. And a few of them were too fast and too soon. And it was so impressive outside of resiliency for him to have humility, not hubris. And that's why I think it's a really interesting for resiliency, but humility and understanding. They're very different things.
Yes, I agree completely.
I think resiliency and pride and hubris are very different. And he said, it's a great marketing thing. It makes total sense. It's not working. And I said, holy shit, for him to be like, him or her, to be like, nope, I have 10 years worth of my push here with this great marketing campaign. It's not working. And they shut some of them down. That was the biggest litmus test to me, to be like, you're resilient enough to know to shut the fuck up, to stop with whatever you said was going to work and it didn't, to re-engineer the next step and to move forward. That's true resiliency, to stick through and pass your thought process and your ego. And to me, that was a really, really interesting paradigm. And I still work with that person.
Raj, what's your red line? Like, what would have to happen to you? So you say, what's your red line? Say, okay, I'm going to stop working startups and go get a real job. Like mine is, and actually my wife gave it to me. My red line is, we can't like mortgage a house, take anything with the house, right? No money in the house, nothing like this. Is my red line.
No.
Give it to my wife. What's your red line?
My red line is more mental. My more red line is I wake up stressed and I go to bed stressed. My whole thing is, if I go to bed, my biggest litmus test, which is my, I call them highlighter lines, actually, Tom Bilyeu. So we've been a lot of work with Quest Nutrition, Tom Bilyeu. My highlighter line is, if I go to bed thinking about it as a stressor and I wake up thinking about it as a stressor, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
Because then I wake up and I look at my wife and I look at my kids and I'm like.
But isn't stress part of being a part of a startup though?
To something I can't control.
Okay, I got it.
If I can't control, like the finances are wrong, the market's wrong. I haven't gone there yet, but my stressor is, if I go to bed thinking about it and it's a stressor, and I wake up thinking about it, it's a stressor, the exigent circumstance I can't control, I have to be honest about it.
Okay.
I do.
And you were born in Lebanon, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How old were you when you came over here?
1 month.
Oh, 1 month?
Yeah, I was a puppy.
So have you gone back there or?
That's home.
That's home.
That's
so
home.
You go back there a lot?
All the time. I grew up the summers there. I have citizenship there. I did the military there. That's my home.
So what's something about Lebanon that like most Americans don't realize? Because most Americans, like me, my image of Lebanon is like the 83, bombing, terrorism, all this crazy stuff, So what's something like me, I don't realize that's like a great thing about Lebanon.
So most people don't know. In September of '83, the embassy was a terrible bombing. That was the day I was born.
Oh wow. Oh
That was the
shit.
day I was born in September of '83,
Oh
and the
shit.
embassy bombing in the U.S. And it was brutal, and everybody turned. I think most people don't understand one thing about the Middle East. And you know what? Actually, I lied. I'm very sorry. It's not the Middle East. It's Lebanon. My sister. So I'm Raja, Raja. My sister's Raya, Raya. My sister, who's older than me, at 2 a.m, my sister can walk down the streets of the busiest place or the most rural, no person driving
Mm.
past place, happy and safe. She can have human beings come up to her and talk to her and make sure she's safe. She can make sure that they walk her home safely. There's a stigma about the Middle East about safety and female or whatever you want to call it, gender specific. But I remember one day after a big club party at 2:17 in the morning in Ashrafia, which is the epitome of just the quintessential like, oh, a party. Four men came up to my sister who was in her 40s and said, hey, it's 2:17 in the morning. Are you safe? Do you need to walk home? And I implicitly trusted them to walk home.
Yeah.
And I think that's what most people don't understand. Lebanon is the diaspora is about 4 million people, and in-house about 1.3. It's a rounding error of a country, but not everybody's terrible. I promise.
Yeah. I spent time in the army. I spent time in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
Kuwait, and just the greatest people. I'm just fucking wonderful people. I remember time I was in Afghanistan the second time. So we ran like the bargaining detention facility, right? So we partnered with the Afghanistan Army, right? I think it's every Wednesday, they hosted a barbecue, right?
Yeah.
They would take a goat, slaughter like several goats, and just do this ritual.
And that's not a rounding error
It is so great.
And that wasn't a rounding error of like of stuff to them. Goats is like meat. I mean, my father, it's really sad. He's the president of basically the entire country's medical system. He runs LAU, which is the university. He was at a grocery store a week ago. It is June 14th of 2022. He was at a grocery store a week ago in the Middle East, and he took the wine, not meat or anything. He took the wine. He had wine. He had one bottle of wine in his cart. He took it out and he put it back because everybody in the store was looking at him. They're like, oh, wow, you can get wine? Oh, wow, that's so impressive. He felt so bad. He didn't want to disrespect his constituency. He took the wine out of his cart. He felt so bad just to get wine, and he put it back. That's the reality of what's going on right now. It's not the, hey, we beat people for whatever in Lebanon. It's just like, listen, shit sucks. Shit sucks. Hyperinflation is brutal. You can't take out more than $14 in a bank every day. 14. Imagine if I could take out $14 tops in a day.
To be rice every motherfucker where.
Are you kidding me right
Bank
now?
would burn the fuck down.
Are you kidding me right now? Hospital system be running down like everything, but and they're doing it with smiles on their face. So, I remember last year, it was literally last year. It was just 29 in 2021. I was actually 29. Yeah, okay, 2020. So 2 years ago, we went back home and we were on top of our an apartment complex, and this man with a solid gold Rolex on, because he's a world renowned brain surgeon. He's siphoning water out of cisterns just to get us water from our house. Come on. It normalizes you. It brings you back to reality. It brings you back to startups. It brings you back to, you don't have to fire a bunch of people if you make some arbitrary like metric on a KPI. And it irks me, the Coinbase. It does. I won't mince my words. And this is a conversation I have with my old lady all the time.
Coinbase is just fucking shit, in my opinion. One thing, I actually have like Bitcoin with them. I need to take that shit out.
Just in general, like if you have this idea that works, and when one week like, oh yeah, we raised blah 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 blah, and we have all the blah blah, and then next week you're like, nope, actually just fuck you. Like, where's reality? Because it's gonna have a lot of people just being like disingenuous with everything. Startups, founders, they're not gonna understand themselves.
I'm like me and Levi, we were talking about this like last week, talking about Coinbase. Like Levi said perfectly. Like I cannot support a sociopath.
We're all sociopaths at heart.
Yeah, true. So, do you know anything about the startup scene in Lebanon?
Yeah.
Move up some.
Huh?
Move up some.
They've
There's pretty vibrant startup scene there.
it's really
I know the Middle East, like Israel gets all the pub, right? Israel, like all the top notch, but
holy shit. Like I actually personally didn't realize this about some of the Israeli companies. I had a friend of mine talk about some of these insurtech companies in Israel. I just realized one of these insurtech companies in Israel on four separate occasions have raised 250 million. That's $1 billion.
that's insane. That's insane.
Are you kidding me? So there's a lot of Israeli companies that are doing great. I think what they're trying to realize is that these Middle Eastern and these not third world, but a lot of these non-US countries, Pan Africa, like we said,
I mean, there's talent everywhere, right?
There's talent everywhere. There really is talent everywhere. So
I mean, like you hear the story, like like the random stories out of Africa, right? Some random 14-year-old African kid, did some like I'll make this up, like
I have to use a bio again.
I
know I'm like a girl. I'm so sorry. I'll like be back in like 7 seconds.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, Jay. I really am. I'll be right back, brother.
Oh shit. Oh man. Yeah, so Raj had to take another bathroom break. Hopefully you're enjoying the conversation. So like I said before, I'm trying to do I'm doing custom interviews for Founders Institute. So you have a company of 49 fewer people reach out to me so I can do a custom interview with you. It's like fucking hilarious.
Yeah, my bladder's the size of this fucking small. I don't finish if you one last one if you don't want. You've done something really, really cool. I really love the whole thing.
It's nice, ain't it?
It really is. What's the next step?
Like for the company, the podcast. So next step, I mean, like I'm a Founders Institute now. It's been fucking great so far. I mean, I'm a big fan of Levi. What was fucking crazy about Founders Institute, like we started 25. The 6 people drop off. Like I think 3 people already dropped out, right? Like, damn.
Are we?
Yeah, we're live.
I don't know what. How have you liked it?
I've liked it. I have. I mean, like, I like Levi. We're gonna get it's only been for a week, right?
Oh,
only been for a week, right?
Okay.
So like the shit hits the fan next week. So we have a meeting tomorrow. So from June 15th to June 22nd, that's like the shit hits the fan. Like it's like this week we're gonna do customer interviews, customer interactions. According to like the Founders Institute, like plan is like 20 hours, right? It's gonna last that long, probably not, right?
What's your specific ask? Like what do they
sales? I need sales.
Speak to it.
Okay, like
because I what's the big picture? Because I want to make sure that we can support you the way that you need.
So me, like I've done those sales research. I got leads. I got everything down. I know who to call, but I need to pick the phone up and say, "Hey, small business owner, will you buy my shit?"
What's your like? Have you worked on the pricing on? Like,
I pricing everything now.
And you're going to do an HR specific rollout.
Yeah.
Where's your niche beachhead market? I know we said the under the 50. But
Yeah.
what have you? What industry? What this? What this? What this?
Not really. I like a few years ago, I did construction, but construction like good old boy from the HR, you know. And everyone said they need HR, but So with me, like the F5 last 14 weeks, to me, F5 is the breaking point for me, right? Like I either have to be a company or not company after the 14 weeks, right?
I'll be really honest. I'm very, very happy you got to that point because they'll be like, no or yes.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Are you?
I'm good.
Well,
I'm good.
some people bullshit themselves. No, good on you, homie. Like, because a lot of people bullshit themselves. Like, I think it makes so much sense.
I just go work somewhere else to start up,
No. I mean, and yeah. I think that's what's really, really important. I mean,
sometimes it's better to be number 7 than number 1, right?
And I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, so in this group that I'm with, like, yeah, I'm not number 1. I'm not, and that's okay. Because my company's I'm number 1, but this one, I'm learning, I'm adding, I'm validating, I'm growing. What's your specific ask?
Yes, someone to say, Jason, do sales. That's it. Jason, do sales. Like for me, like it's embarrassing to say this. Like post sales number 1, right?
Yeah.
I have things to do. Sales number 1. I need to do sales. I do 100. I do this. I do that. Always. I was like, I know I need to do it, and like I know I need to do it right. I know I'm gonna get kicked in. Some people say no, but yeah, that's it. That's it.
And we said, what's that one market that's like they're lacking the product, like truly lacking it?
Oh, startups easily,
but they don't have the money for it.
Okay, let me rephrase that.
Startups. I'm just wondering.
So
I'll play devil advocate.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the startups. Yes, because before we talk, how they get involved in startups.
If you don't mind.
Yeah. So first day is 346. You still got it before? Okay. So retired 2015. About a year before I retired, the Army says, no, go on LinkedIn and find a job. So on LinkedIn, reach out to different people.
And we know going from that to the private brutal.
Yeah. It's no fucking joke. I have so many fucking stories.
I know.
So I'm on LinkedIn, reaching out to people, right? And this guy named Mark Monroe, shout out to Mark Monroe, big fan of his. So he's in Seattle. He sent me an email, a LinkedIn message. Hey, Jason, I see you on LinkedIn. In the Army. I have a startup called My Unfold. We're going to have college graduates and military veterans find jobs, but no resume because resume doesn't help you out. We're going to do skills tests. Can we meet in person? Ask you a question about how I'm going to find a job. Yeah, sure, no question. One question for you. What the fuck is a startup?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? You don't start a company. They always fucking exist. Like, so he laughed at me in person. He gave me like a quick dummies version, like MVP, lean market fit, blah, 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 whatever. Light bulb goes off. Mark, you talk about everything, sales, marketing, you just talk about HR right now. Oh, Mark, HR, like it's important, but way down the road. Talk some more. No light bulb goes off. Mark, let me join your startup. I can learn some stuff. I can help you out, whatever. Mark, like, let me think about it. Me being me, I fucking hire myself.
Yep.
Start going to meetings, meeting people, blah, blah, blah. Like 2 years I was there, I like to say I did everything except design and code. I like to tell them this. So interesting side effect, the person who did a design for us and marketing for us both graduated from high school from my daughter in Korea 2006. So that's a great dynamic, right?
It's not saying that. Like,
it's fucking cool as shit, right?
I believe in certain things. So.
And I learned so much, right? Networking, meeting people, But after 2 years, like, man, Mark decided to shut it down, right? And even that day, we're talking about, man, why did we shut it down, right? We didn't have no raise money, right? But like, they shut it down, right? Like, none of these startups have HR. Why not? Maybe it's that idea I can do, right? Did a quick pivot from startups. I'm not doing it pro bono to small business. So I tell you to do your business validation. So small business administration says there's 5 million companies for a few people. Most have HR. Me, I cost $50,000 more per year plus benefits.
Yeah.
HR consultants, who are like overcharged and deliver. Like, I mean, it's like a song. I work for you. You hire me.
Yep.
I do an audit. Hey, Rod, you need employee handbooks.
Yep.
I know that. We can make it for me. Oh, I don't make it for you. I just consult you. So you're going to pay me $200 an hour to tell you what you fucking know?
Interesting.
That's fucking bullshit, right? And then I did validation where I fucked up. You know, I tried like 331 people. And I was just like, instead of like doing the metrics and stuff like I said before, I just like, you know, positive,
Shooting
negative.
at the head. Yeah.
But like, man, no, you know, I'm happy like going like that, right? And this, you know, that's pretty much started going to that. You know, of course, it makes so many mistakes, right? Like in my mind, where I'm at right now, this is like June 2022. Where I'm right now, I should have been here like June 2020. Been so many tech people, you know, like it's just made so many mistakes. Another thing too, like I told the software founders, like mistake I made so many times. Like someone will say, hey, here's this some kind of platform, right? It's like 50% off for 6 months.
Yep.
I don't really need it, but man, can I pass this deal up?
Nope.
And I'll pay like $20 a month.
Nope.
And then I never fucking use it.
Nope. And when it turns to 40, you're like, hey, whatever.
Fuck.
I literally had I sat here with a friend. I was like, this actually isn't right, because when we were, yeah, dude, like it's hard. It's really, really, really hard, especially going to the private side. It ends up being a really, really, really hard like situation where people don't understand. They're getting fleeced. They don't want to hear it. They don't want you to tell them that. And if you do, no, you're wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, no, listen, you're not doing what you need to do for the price point that you're paying.
Yeah.
They don't want to hear it because then they're stupid.
And then like being a founder is so tough. Like, you know, like I've been to so many people, right? You know, like it's just crazy. Like people go through, like people like to talk about that, how hard it is to be a founder. They don't realize like you tell some people to come into your company, right?
Yeah.
First of all, you might, you know, tell the lie, hey, join my startup, I'll give you 1% equity. And honestly, like I say, hey, join my company, 1% equity. What I'm really saying is, Raj, join my company for this pot of gold and rainbow. You're not gonna fucking get it.
Yep.
Because like,
yep.
If startups is so like pro CEO, right?
But you
pro
get
CEO.
It. But you get it.
Yeah.
But you do more than most, which is emblematic of the entire industry, because we all feel like we're getting fleeced. We all feel like, and again, go back to Coinbase, like, oh yeah, everything's good. And they're like, oh, you're all gone.
Yeah.
Wait, what the fuck, dude? You just raised this. You're just doing this. You talk about your K1s and your 10Ss and your 10Qs, and like you're just gonna do this to us. It's hard.
One thing I love, so many people on LinkedIn of like on the LinkedIn profile, we send an offer of Coinbase. I just fucking love that. I fucking love that.
That's hard. No, I get it. It's just such a hard paradigm to fight, man. And that's why I'm just like, when I say I build stuff, it's just like I have no ego.
And it's like, how do you not know? Like, I mean, like, okay, you have to ask, like, worst case scenario, best case scenario, right? Well, some in the middle.
You have to be, yo, brother. I love that you just said that. Like, I'm sure we're like way past time, but like, there needs to be like in case of emergency break glass. Like, yeah. I don't think, and again, Mary Kay was just so instrumental, being like, hey, if this doesn't work, what is our B and our C scenario? Yeah. Like, founders don't think of a B and a C scenario. They don't, because they have this hubris and ego. But like the reality
is
this
like, bubble. The company only matters.
Shit doesn't work.
And don't give a fuck about other people's feelings, whatever.
The reality is shit doesn't work sometimes.
And
she has an in case of, oh, that's what it was. She sent me, we were talking to investors, and she had an in case of emergency. The document literally said, Jay, like, in case of emergency, break glass. I'm like, I can't tell that to people. She's like, you have to. I was like, yeah, no, we have to. We have to, in case of emergency, break glass, because it might not pan out the way we think it will. And if you go in with that stigma of like, it's all going to be perfect, great, it's going to be really, really difficult to part ties. But if you're like, hey, it's a startup, shit sucks, let's try and figure it out. We're in this partnership and in this hole together. If you can look over in the foxhole and they're smiling, you're in good company. Yeah. But they have to make sure they know they're getting in the foxhole for the right reason. Hey, and most people fleece them. Yeah.
So I'm gonna pull a Raj real fast, right? Go to the bathroom.
Bye.
So what I'm gonna do, I'm put the camera on you, and what I want you to do is like this. Talk about, we didn't talk about this enough, right? Talk about how you come, like the idea for your company, what the focus is, and what the vision is for your company. Cool.
My man. So I appreciate it. So Thrv Health, what we ended up doing was we realized that a lot of people, convenience and finances are the barrier to entry. But when it comes to push come to shove, it's not about that. It's more about, hey, do we believe in ourselves? And this is habit forming. And habit forming to me was more like an empowerment movement. So we're psychosomatic, and the reality of the situation was these mental reps turned into physical reps. Hey, I didn't think I could do this. I didn't think I could quit my job. I didn't think I could ask for a raise. I didn't think I could break up with this person who's cheating on me. And when we realized that we can do the physical stuff, the mental stuff, the psychosomatic stuff came into second nature. So for example, I didn't think I could do this movement pattern of lunges because I didn't have enough tensile strength in my muscles. Oh my God, I did. And now that I've seen this tangible, like this efficacy rate, this cash value to me, which is basically me doing these lunges, it's more like, okay, now I've done these lunges. Now I know if I didn't think I could do that before, and I didn't think I could ask for a raise before, now I can ask for a raise because I didn't think I do these lunges. And I've been empowered to do these lunges. I didn't think I could do these lunges. I'm empowered to do these lunges. I didn't think I could put my loved one into a hospice situation with cancer because I wasn't strong enough. Well, I didn't think I was strong enough to do these lunges, and I did. So once you see the physical manifestations, then the mental manifestations come to fruition. So for example, again, we had a young lady, and she goes, she came from a really, really, really rough background, and it was more like infidelity, and then more of a dynamic internally with work. And she goes, I don't think I can ask for the things that I want to make myself happy. We said, well, why not? She goes, because that's just not who I am. So once we realized and empowered her with one of our people on the Thrv platform that was matched personality wise, it was an empathetic Eric, not a drill sergeant Doug, saying, hey, listen, you can figure out if you can do one movement pattern and the second movement pattern, and empower to do the third movement pattern. And I know it's kind of a stretch, but you can do that fourth movement pattern. The fourth movement pattern got her to that kind of turning point of, oh, wow, this is me as a human being. I'm stronger than I think I am. I think I can do left instead of doing right. So the physical side goes with the mental side. And that's where Thrv kind of came from. And once we realized that these healthy habits were based more instead of more like numbers and reps, but like the RQ, which is the relationship quotient, that was something that we realized was a big delta. So we took to the relationship quotient instead of anything else. The relationship quotient is something about empowerment and belonging. Hey, I belong in this ecosystem. Hey, I feel empowered by this ecosystem, which is a healthy ecosystem. And this RQ lends itself, the relationship lends itself, i.e. your Myers-Briggs lends itself to sticking to this healthy habit longer. And then our last iteration was kind of working towards the Tesla model. The Tesla model is more of like insurable model. And this is what we're doing actually with Thrv Health, doing it from Thrv Health as a like digital health platform to an insurance company. And the insurance capability is really important because this is something that we want to do because we're taking all these data analytics. And data analytics are important. Why? What does Tesla know? Tesla knows, hey, Jason, you drive the right speed limit, you use your blinker, you haven't gotten in a wreck, you're a good driver, we're going to insure you through Tesla insurance. So what does Thrv Health know? You've been sticking to your healthy habit, you've been continuing to do that, and now on a healthy habit situation, we know for a fact that you're sticking to that. We're going to insure at a lower premium versus your health insurance, kind of what that Tesla model was doing. So we've been really, really, really lucky in understanding what Thrv Health is doing and how it's been doing to the general constituency.
Dude, I need a fucking bladder transplant.
Welcome to my life, man. Welcome to my life, man. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. I hope there's so many people out there that can do better for better people. And I think that the general stigma is something it's on a negative slope, but we can make it on a positive slope. I really think we can.
So how many tattoos do you have?
Too many, my man. I'm completely covered.
Are you?
Yeah.
Legs too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have 36. I haven't done I've done something for my ankle.
It's been interesting though, because there's that stigma that comes from it.
Yeah.
And
What's been your most painful tattoo?
armpits.
Yeah, tattooing your
Yeah,
armpits?
just for fun.
Dude, like you're fucking insane.
I literally, for no reason, on my spine and on my armpits, I got 2 circles and a straight, and just this. The first one's 2 circles and just a straight line down my spine, just to be like, yeah, fuck you,
The spine's pretty painful, right?
just to enjoy it. And then on my cat, so where the bones, where there's no meat, just the bones. So I was gonna do one here. I stuck it here, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then
For me, the most painful has been this one right here, and the one on my left Achilles. Those have been the most painful.
for some reason, the pits were really, really, really tough.
Yeah.
They're really, really a lot of nerve specific, but this was. But I'm sure most of yours have some meaning.
Oh yeah, all my have meaning. Yeah.
So we ended up doing something, but it's been hard, because when you're covered in tattoos, and it lends itself again to a lot of thought processes that just really aren't
Even if you
real.
tell people this means something to me, right? Like even like to me, the most beautiful tattoo I have, like my grandmother's name, right? Even then, people are like, why you get your grandmother's name tattoo, right? What's that do, right?
Again, it goes back to being binary. If there's an issue with all these things, then you're gonna have an issue with me as a person.
Yeah.
Which is kind of nice, because it's a great filter. And most people don't want to say like, oh, we want to filter out and discriminate. No, I want if this is an issue, which I totally this is the wife, which I totally understand. Like it doesn't make a lot of sense.
So I know we got to end pretty quickly.
Yeah.
What do you do for fun?
Shoot guns and work out. And it's lame. I mentor. I love talking to people at startups. It's pathetic. My intellectual stimulus comes from talking to people.
Like me, I get at least one message a day from someone, either from a startup founder or someone looking for a job once a day. I just love it so much, right? Like,
What do you do with them?
what do
you talk to them about? Like, where's your caveats? Where's like, hey, watch out for this? Do you show them where the minefields are, or you
figure out, like, of course, they get from a good place. Like, someone's trying to find a job. I say, what's their background? What are you trying to do? Who do you know? What's your social media game? Like, are you introvert, extrovert? All those kind of things. And startup founders, startup founders, like, it just depends what they want. Like,
totally.
Like, what do you want? Like, and what's crazy to me is like, it just me like, I haven't made it yet. Like, I'm fucking struggling as fuck, right? Like, it's like, part of me is like, why does this person reach out to me for advice?
Well, they reach out for a reason.
It's like, it was fucking crazy.
That's okay though. That means it respects you.
Yeah,
man.
it's called the imposter syndrome, right?
Yeah. Well, the imposter syndrome it's hard, because I know when I add value.
But it does, like, boost your ego, right? Like, people reach out to you. Like today, someone reached out to me. Hey, Jason, we met a few years ago. I'm struggling. Can we meet up? I run some stuff by you. I mean, it is an ego boost. Like,
it's an ego boost, but I think also more importantly, it's not imposter syndrome. If they're reaching out for a reason.
Yeah,
brother, you got to help them.
Yeah,
we got to help each other. We all got to figure out where our trials and tribulations are, where our pitfalls are, and to see. And again, I lean into Jeremy and Levi and then Dave Parker and then Dan Kihani. I'm like, hey guys, like, I'm messing up, and where am I messing up? And I've been so lucky. And that's why I think FI is so important. There's no ego.
Yeah.
There's like, when I text Levi or call Levi, he's like, that's stupid. I was like, thank you.
Levi is just so fucking great.
And they're all great, man. I appreciate all the time, man. I got to pretend to care about my family.
Yeah. So last thing before we get out of here, I want you to spend like maybe 1 minute, give advice or wisdom or anything you want to talk about.
It's not popular. Don't care. I know, and I'm sure you get it, but your male or female appendage is good enough. I promise. It's a really, really hard time for everybody. Liquidity is being dried up. Don't placate and don't give platitudes. Don't compromise who you are, because in the long run, you're going to end up just shooting yourself in the foot. It took us 5 years to get to where we wanted, and we're on a trajectory and a path that nobody can derail. Even market conditions can't derail it. So if you're true to who you are, if you're sticking to your experience, if you're sticking to the podcast, no exigent circumstance you are. So as cheeky and prophetic and bullshit as it sounds, stick to what you know. And then if you need to iterate, take a little bit of your ego out of it, but stick to who you are as a person and just be honest and have a good support system. That's not an echo chamber, but have a good support system that can make you feel vulnerable and safe at the same time. If you have a group or constituency that can make you feel vulnerable to tell you what you're thinking, hey, I don't know if this is going to work, but say it at the same time, it's better than any investor. It's better than an advisor. It's better than any network that you can have. And more importantly, they're fleeting. So lean into them. If you think it's like an online platform or whatever, if it's FI, if it's Jason and his constituency, lean into it in a big way and just really own it. Don't switch. Don't look for the next thing. A lot of people have one idea about a system and they're like, oh, this next system looks so much better because it's the system 2.0.
No, you bring up a good point. One thing I also learned like 20 years ago, I just recently learned none of this matters. You know, like don't care what people say, live your best life.
We're
like,
just dust, dude.
Yeah, we're just dust, right? You're like, we're here such a short amount, right? Dust, and I always sort of learned that so long ago, right?
But it's hard. It's hard to learn. It's hard to hear. It's hard, like, wait, what are you saying over there? Like, no, I got to do that. No, you don't. Because everybody else wants you to do that, blah, 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 blah. It's hard. It's really, really hard. You have the tech stars and the YCs and the ups and the downs and the tech and the geek wire and the crunch bases and the NFX. Who cares? Who cares? Because then you end up losing $40 billion in a
I'm a TikTok player too much. So like, so I followed different people on TikTok. Right? There's one person I follow on TikTok, you know, like one person is like, his name's Britton Conti out of Brooklyn, right? He's a photographer. His thing is like how to spend $10 like different cities, right?
Yeah.
So $10 in Bangkok.
Yeah.
$10 this, right?
Why not?
Just great fucking content, right?
Why not?
Other lady I just recently followed, I can't remember her name. She's like 23, 24. She's a female, solo travels around the world, right? Just fucking great pictures, right? And people like, are you scared? Like, no. Like, I have my she basically she said protection. When she has a fucking gun, I saw that phone. Like I do different stuff. Who, you know, like so many people doing things, right? Like, man, I'm so fucking jealous, right? Like my dream was like get an RV, travel across the country, right?
Do it. Just do it. Just like I think it's really interesting. Like we get all so beholden and caught up in the bullshit, and then like we realize bullshit. Even when we acquire it and we get it, you still have this giant hole.
Yeah.
And the hole will always be there. You're not going to fit a hole with anything that's somebody else's piece. You're just not, because that puzzle just looks weird. The puzzle looks like, oh great, all these 999 pieces, but that one other piece of somebody else is like, nope, that doesn't fit.
And think too, like, you know, you got to realize like what makes one person happy might not be no people happy. Like I know people, a good friend of mine, his thing is baseball.
Yeah.
He watched baseball. He coaches baseball. He plays softball.
With his kid. Yeah.
He watches 9 to 5, you know, has a decent living, you know. Okay, it's their life, right? Other people, like, you know, like they got to have like build billion dollar companies, right?
And that's how that whole measurement of success I was talking about. It's just kind of depends.
Raj, man, this is a fucking good conversation.
I love you, man. This is a lot of fun.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Love you do it again.
Hey, Raj, thanks for your time, man.
Always, brother.
And for listeners, thanks for your time as well. Remember to be great every day.
That's really